Meeting is called to order, Southampton Town Planning Board, Thursday, August 13th, 2026. So the secretary will call the roll. Member Schultz.
Present.
Member Mutu.
Present.
Member Fulham.
Present.
Member Glazer.
Present.
Vice Chair is present. The Chair and Secretary is absent. Could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have minutes. Chris, what were the two dates we had?
July 9th and July 23rd.
July 9th and 23rd. Very good. We have a motion. Motion by
Leslie?
Leslie.
Second by George.
George, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Very good. We're going to close the afternoon regular session and open the work session. Teresa, are you applicants here?
Yes,
Okay,
Rob
well-
Fischette and his client, Mr.
What's
Ennis.
online?
Dennis?
Leslie, this is a work,
Aye.
Oh,
this is a work session, we're talking about it, right?
yeah.
Good to see you. Just identify yourselves for the audio record.
Yes,
Good.
Robert Fischetti, Ferdinand Fischetti, 320 Hampton Road, Southampton, attorney for the applicant.
Great.
This is my client, Russell Ennis, here.
How are you?
I'm Russ.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ennis purchased this property fairly recently. It is in the APOD. However, when he purchased the property, it was entirely cleared. And so they are coming in to ask that they be allowed to purchase development rights to allow it to remain 100% cleared. It has been our past policy to allow for purchase of development rights to let them go up to the next tier, which I believe would be 75% in this property. But I believe they are asking your feelings on allowance for 100%.
I could give a little bit of background on that. Mr. Ennis and his wife purchased the property in 2021, and they had another attorney represent them who did not make them aware of not only that none of the vegetation on there counted toward clearing, but towards the clearing, it turned out there was an open building permit that we're in the process of closing. So there were some things that just were not brought to his attention at all. He was, not an experienced home buyer. He was just sort of following his attorney's lead. And so he's left with this property that, when you look at it compared to properties next to it, it doesn't look like grossly over cleared as far as there is. As you can see on the survey, there are some perimeter trees and things like that, but it's not native vegetation. It's not, but it didn't jump out as being anything different than any other property. His bank also, so I don't know if it was a search issue, but his bank also didn't pick up on the open permit or on any of this stuff. So really wasn't something that he had a chance to consider what the property would look like, if you were to start to fill in the clearing. So we thought, after talking to the planning staff a little bit, and I understand there's been some past allowance for this kind of thing. We thought in this case it might be a more meaningful contribution to the overall aquifer and everything if there was credits purchased maybe at a slightly higher rate than the square footage that we're replacing, maybe not exactly replacing one for one, something that we could discuss with the board that might be a more meaningful reparation as opposed to us finding little corners and areas to put native vegetation. The pool does itself go pretty close to the back. There's only 9.4 feet between the patio and the rear property line, so there's not a lot of room to work with, as far as revegetation, just based on the way the site plan is laid out here. And it did have a certificate in 2021, April 2021, just before my client purchased, for a second-story addition and a wood deck and things like that. So there was a recent certificate from the town, and nothing, again, no red flags to them as far as what was actually the case relative to clearing. I don't know how they got this certificate given the state of clearing. Obviously, 2021 was a little, still in the midst of COVID a little bit, so I think there was some things that fell through the cracks, but that was sort of Mr. Ennis.
Staff may have told you that one of the goals in this area is to make sure that whatever ground cover goes in is non-fertilized. Doesn't require fertilization. That's really the goal in this area. I'm a big advocate of development right purchases, but there again, I think we have to clarify. There's development rights, there's clearing rights, there's sewage rights. What are we?
It's basically all the same, but how you apply them.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, it would be purchase of development rights for the purposes of allowance for additional clearing. At the end of the day, you're still not having development on a different parcel.
Right.
But the question is, again, before the board, we have in the past allowed people to go up to the next level of clearing, but the applicant is seeking 100%. And the question before the board is, are you willing to consider allowance for 100%? If it's not 100%, is there somewhere between 75, which was what their next level would be, or 100% that you might be comfortable with?
What's the current clearing limit on this in a perfect world?
In a perfect world, it would be 60%
60%?
of 18,000 square
No, he
feet.
says 100%, but it seems to be trees and around the perimeter of that.
They're not native.
Yes, there are some trees along the perimeter, yes.
So is the intention at some point to take those trees down?
No, but my understanding is that they don't count because
Yeah,
they're
they're
not the
shown on
native
the
Because they're
vegetation.
underground.
Yeah, but they're not counted towards
But
native.
there's no intent here to do any more clearing?
No,
No,
not,
they cannot.
Oh, because you said the development rights would allow for more clearing, but you didn't mean it in that way. I
Not
got it.
in that way. It
So-
would be
and the
quote unquote
structure-
legalized.
And the house is built,
yeah.
so there's no renovation
So-
going on. We're just trying to legalize
Patios
the
in, the
property.
pools in, there's nothing left to clear to do, yes.
So this is a question of whether or not we would prefer that you plant new vegetation, natural, native vegetation versus buying development rights. And for the neighborhood and the surrounding areas immediately adjacent, it would presumably be better if it was consistent with what the legal requirements were or maxed out at the legal requirements, I would think.
So, but here's the other situation too, right? As you can see, almost all of those homes are very small. All of those lots there are very small, and the parcel behind it is town open space. So something to potentially consider if you're willing to allow them to go over 75%, but maybe you still want to have some vegetation on the property that's native and to bring it closer into compliance with the adjacent parcels. Maybe require a buffer along the rear property line between the open space and the applicant's development. Maybe a split rail fence along that buffer, in addition to purchasing of development rights. So that's something that you may also want to consider,
I mean,
to
I
give
think-
them a little something, but also to make sure that we're protecting open space and not opening the floodgates for the adjacent property. As you can see, one of the adjacent properties appears to have recently revegetated.
Right,
Sounds
yeah, and it's, usually bending the rules is a measure based on all things tried, right? So to see the revegetation plan and say, here's where we ran into trouble, these areas are feasible, this is not feasible due to the existing construction, I think is an important element of the decision-making process.
I mean, just looking at the survey, it appears there
Some
may be some
areas.
opportunities in the corners. Teresa, did you look at, it seems like dead space where,
Well, they haven't developed a revegetation plan because they wanted to approach you first to see what you may be willing to consider. Would you allow them to go to 75% with purchase of development rights? That's usually something, again, the planning board has been considering. But, would they allow for 100%? In this particular instance, Mr. Fischetti indicated that they might be willing to do more than 1-to-1. So that's. I think that before they started going down one road for revegetation, they wanted to gauge your willingness to consider some flexibility on the site.
I mean, from my standpoint, 100% is a heavy lift. It's,
We just thought, we were thinking, so once we got to, say, 75, so that leaves 25%, this property's only 18,000 and change. So what that 25% ends up being when it's pushed into corners, that's where we thought something more meaningful, like the credits, as opposed to, a little bit of native plantings in a corner to satisfy this 25% or some negotiated in between. doesn't have as much meaning, in a sense, in the broader sense to the aquifer and to adding to things as maybe some credits would, where it's going to be in a,
That may be
in a
true,
more.
but I think, to me, the precedent of setting, allowing 100% of the clearing, I don't like.
It would have to be in,
Then you create you potentially could be creating areas where that's totally cleared, where you're trying to maintain some vegetation across all neighborhoods, and then you have areas that's isolated, which has its net
distinguished.
result, but it creates a difference in the neighborhoods. When you
I
have,
mean, it could be distinguished a bit because there was a certificate in 2021 when he purchased in 2021. It was in this stated, existing clearing space as he purchased it with a recent certificate. So there are some distinguishing factors, but I understand, 100% is.
In the history, which is fair to bring that up, I still think we need some effort on revegetation. It may not get you anywhere near the percentage, and then that in combination with development rights. I think everybody wants to be reasonable.
Yeah, I think
But,
like showing the work, right? If you're saying,
Just give us
it's
a-
supposed to be 60, right? So if you show 60 and
Just
it's
how dramatically
overlapping
that
into the
takes
pool,
away
right?
everything, yeah.
And then you show 75, we can see the point, you know what I mean? It's important, even if it's not a fully designed re-veg plan, I think you could do some overlays to illustrate that
So,
effort.
My wife has actually spent the last 5 years doing a lot of work on like the flower beds and gardens and that sort of thing. I mean, we are actually very supportive of the environmental aims of the regulation, and she does a lot to bring in sort of pollinators like the bees and the butterflies.
But
It
just
just
not necessarily
wasn't
things
with
that
the
check
native
these
plants
boxes, yeah.
because we weren't aware of that.
Yeah.
And so it would effectively be tearing that all out and replacing it with other stuff as well to meet the percentage.
We'll show that on there as well to
Yeah.
show what we're trying
So-
to avoid destruction.
Generally speaking, when you do revegetation plans, the preference is to have large blocks or larger blocks of contiguous vegetation, natural vegetation. On this particular lot, it's going to be somewhat hard. So
can I borrow
when
this?
you do when you start working on a plan, I would recommend putting like a buffer along the rear property line and maybe in that back corner where it's a little bit larger, and see what you can come up with percentage-wise there. And then, because then that'll build on the open space adjacent, and then we could figure out if that's sufficient enough, and then we could figure out
we-
if
we
this is
understand-
offset for development rights.
you can't plant right up to the edge of the pool. We understand
Right.
that. You have to allow some reasonable access, but there seems to be a weird
Work with
corner.
the angle of the
Yeah,
property.
Yeah,
and
rear
there's
corner is an
also,
opportunity.
there's also the tree line on the north side, I guess. If
Yeah.
you're looking at it, if you're looking to plant underneath that and recreate the vegetation underneath the trees,
Right.
it also can work on that.
Yeah,
So I think
generally
there's
speaking, we
opportunities to do
don't
some things.
prefer hedgerows, but where you have large existing mature trees, we allow you to supplement underneath it to calculate that as well.
If we have to plan, come in and we'll definitely work with that,
All right, great.
So,
Thank you for your
good.
time.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
We're going to close the afternoon work session, convene the afternoon regular session. We did the pledge, the
So
minutes,
the answer was
and
it depends,
attendance.
right?
Are we going in order? Seth, is Seth around? Okay. 80 Anchor Street, final conditional approval, item 2.
Yeah, so you have before you now is 80 Anchor Street. This is a 2-lot subdivision at final application. I have the applicant here, Jet Marino. If you'd like to come up, I'll just join you up here. I do have a conditional approval to pass around. Apologize for not getting it in the packet. So the 2-lot subdivision is in Flanders, 80 Anchor Street, and the subject parcel is 40,757 square feet, or 0.9 acres. This is in the R15 zoning district, as well as the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and the Central Pine Barrens Compatible Growth Area. We're now at final application. To refresh your memory, last time we met, we were looking at the SECRA and deeming it complete. Something that came up during the SECRA conversation was the IA systems, the on-site wastewater treatment systems. It was expressed by this board that we require an IA system for not only the new lot being proposed, Lot 2, which is in the back half, but also an upgrade to the existing system servicing the single-family residence that's on the site. Jet went ahead and consented to that request, sent in a letter, and we moved the ball forward. Now we stand, after getting quite a few referrals, not as many as I would have liked, but that being said, not with many referral comments. It's very much similar to the pre-application. Didn't really get much there.
No.
At any rate, so I thought we'd move the ball forward, especially because I wanted us to consider that point that I had kind of blocked out there at the bottom in our planning board findings. I kind of gave the history there that the Suffolk County Department of Health Services did grant this application approval on November 14th of 2025 for that IA system in the back proposed lot. After our meeting on the 14th, Jet did get another approval from the Suffolk County Department of Health Services for an additional septic system. Now that that's been done, I asked the board, how would you like to proceed with a conditional approval and signing of maps? What would we like to do as the standard for moving forward if not only the existing lot requires an IA system as
Right.
well?
I think a policy has been to have a prior to signature. So you can get your conditional approval, and that gives you time to go out and get the IA system. There's actually funding available.
And when you say get the IA, is that installation?
Installed, yeah, installed. They're going pretty quick.
If I just may address the
Sure.
board. My name is Jet Molina. I am one of the owners of this property. And just some backstory, we had bought this property a few years ago. It was actually built, I think, around the 60s, 70s, and it was never legal. Never had a CO. There was an open building permit that was never closed, but the house was there for 30, 40 years. People were living in it, renting, the whole thing. It was never legalized. We purchased this property, we did all the right steps, we legalized it, we got a CO. Part of that CO process was we also had to get the septic system, the current septic system, checked out to make sure that it's proper and functioning, and we did do that. We did do that with the health department, and it was deemed that it was sufficient and in good condition. Now, all that aside, on our May 14th meeting here, I believe, we were coming for the other conditions, and it was brought up that you guys would like us to have this new IA system installed in this existing lot, even though it's not on the new lot. We've made no objections to that. We understand the environmental concerns. We're fully, committed to doing this and completing this. As Sal just said, right after the meeting, we contacted an engineer. We got a design. We applied with the health department. We are fully committed on doing this, upgrading the septic system on the first lot. And I understand the board's concerned. I would like to ask if there's a way that we can do this, whereas we can complete this subdivision application. And I don't know what the mechanisms or the process is for that. Like, we're committing to upgrading the system. We would just like, in the meantime, to close out the subdivision application so it does not hold it up. And the reason that I ask that is that we do intend to apply for the grants. And from our conversations with the engineer that we use and the health department, that takes up to like 6 months at this time. Whereas in this 6 months, if I'm understanding this correctly, there's nothing we can do with this subdivision application. So that would be our only request. Again, we took your recommendation. We're fully committed to upgrading this system to the IA. We got designs already. We paid engineers. We've talked to actual installers. We're getting them on board. We're doing all of that. Our only request is that if somehow we can get this subdivision fully, I guess, approved, so we can move on with that application. So we just don't have one dependent on each other.
Well, isn't the funding retroactive? I mean, if you do it now, don't you get the funding retroactive?
That was not what I was told, from what I understand, and we've done this grant process a few years ago, and I'm not sure if it's changed, but from my understanding is that we do the application for the grants, and those grants go directly to the subcontractor that we use for the septic. Essentially, we never see the funds. I really don't think any subcontractor is going to install the system and then wait 6 months with the hopes of getting that
But
grant.
there is some time, from the time you get approval now to get the plans finalized, you get all of the conditions and covenants, sign with the county? I mean, what sort of timeframe are we talking about that?
Yeah, that takes some time to get all the final maps drawn up and the
Okay.
covenants. I mean,
I think
I think
we're
you
working
raised.
towards approving the thing now, and you get this sold before the approved maps are signed by the chairperson of his board, which could take maybe 6 months or more. I'm not, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if things change. but
It
the last
depends on the
subdivision-
applicant in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, the other conditions are really not anything complicated, and I think the last subdivision that we did, all of that stuff was done within a month or two, once we got to this point. And, you know, that's really our only concern, that we just don't want to waste another 6 months sitting on this project while we're waiting for the septic.
Yeah, so what you're asking for is conditional approval now, so that all the other pieces of this planning can work in parallel time frame, right? So that at the same time, once we do conditional approval, you can move other planning forward, including the IA system.
If I may, so signed plans is where we need to go for him to be able to start clearing the land and to
Okay.
start the building process.
Yeah.
Without those signed plans,
Nothing
building's
can
not
happen.
gonna touch this.
Nothing can
Ultimately,
happen.
our plan is to obviously apply for a building permit and, you know, build a new house that we're planning on the back, and that's really our goal. I just, like I don't think we're able to get to that point with the building department until we finalize the subdivision.
Can. They will issue you a permit. There's mechanism, and I actually spoke to one of the inspectors a couple of months ago. Someone inquired about this. They'll allow construction of a second home with certain conditions. I think there's a bonding, maybe a bonding provision. The other, you know, the whole host of conditions, but talk to them. So you can go down and get a building permit.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, there's risk mitigation in putting it associated with the signed plans action, because if you have an approved subdivision, one of those lots could be sold, and then we have somebody coming in just like the last person did that, I wasn't aware, you know, and it becomes complicated. The upgrading of the septic system is associated with your action of creating additional lots. So really, I feel strongly about it being associated with this action.
I understand that, but I just think, again, we had no initial intention of upgrading the system because we did the testing of it when we legalized the home. But we understand where you guys are coming from, and I think we've shown good faith because immediately we started doing this. Like, we did not object. We were here in the meeting, we were sitting in the back. We did not object, even though, if I understand, our case was the very first case where this new policy was enlisted, because if I understand correctly, a couple of meetings before, there was a house in Bay Avenue that got this subdivision, and they were not required to put a new IA system or any upgrade at all. Again, we were sitting here, there was no objection from us. We will do this, we have no intention of selling the property, you know, anytime soon. We're upgrading these properties, we're holders of real estate, we're not sellers.
Shortly thereafter that application, that's when the policy went into effect. The need for D-night we're at a crisis situation now in the town. I mean, there's a lot of, it is legitimately a crisis with the nitrogen, and it's not something that's going to be subject to a new building. This is an active house with a C of O, sewage going into the ground into a 1960s septic system, even though it's functioning, it's still 1960s.
It had been upgraded at some point. Again, it was done without pulling any kind of permits, because it was a precast iron. But regardless, you know, we share the sentiment, and we will upgrade
But you can
this.
get a second build, a lot of times people will live in a house and they're building a second residence, and they're going to demolish the first one, and the building department will issue that permit and allow the construction to go forward.
But I just think the difference here, and if I can be wrong, but the difference here is that we have an actual subdivision process, and like, we're
Right.
not building a house on the same lot, we're splitting this, so, I mean,
construction on the parcel
big-
that's being created.
Right.
I don't see how they would be able to move forward without an approved subdivision.
Well, I say, it's like, it's been done. I talked to Sean, actually, and there's certain guidelines you have to follow. I think you have to be at a certain stage in the subdivision process. And then I believe he said the bonding, you have to post a bond. There are a couple of
Can you
requirements, but
explore that, and then you can come back to us if it's not the case? I mean, if there's a way for you to do this without getting the approval, that would make sense, so that you can move everything forward.
yeah, I mean, and if there is a way, I'd be happy to do it, because again, it makes no difference for us, we're still going to do this. All we wanted was just not to waste these few months of time while we wait for health department grant approval. Again, at the end, it makes no difference, because, you know, 6 months or a year from now, we'll have 2 houses with 2 IA systems.
Right.
Just as intended.
Have we ever gotten a bond for performance of something like
Yeah,
this?
Here are a couple of problems with the bond. First of all, it's an active problem. There's nitrogen going to these substandard systems, so it's not like we can bond our way out of an existing crisis. I would characterize the crisis. And the second thing is it's problematic to go into private property. A bond, if the town goes in to secure the bond, we would be positioned to go into private property, think of the scenario of gates, dogs, and here, we're gonna dig up your lawn, and we have to enter your house it's problematic. Bonds, we take like commercial plantings along a commercial development or parking or drainage. Those are readily accessible to the town, but a private property, we've recognized the difficulties of calling a bond.
Just as an idea, and I don't know, is there a possibility that our new house CO would be conditioned to the upgrading of the?
Well, that's what we did with the ban. We realized that we're not solving the problem that's existing now. I mean, literally, it should go in tomorrow, ideally.
Yeah, and I mean, so your point, and just to explain, I'll say my perspective, which I think the board shares, is that when you have one lot and they check your septic system and say this is adequate, right, that's based on existing, right? The trigger is a 50% expansion, and prior, the law was interpreted as it's not an expansion of the existing residence, but really, I consider it's 100% expansion, because you're creating 2 lots and 2 residences. And that's the context of the board's policy on this. It is associated with the subdivision action, so I don't feel that we can circumvent that, because even if you're a property keeper, it can happen that someone subdivides, sells off the other lot, and then the new person's left with that issue.
I understand the point about expansion, and I see the point, but also we are getting 2 septic systems, so we're not saying that both are going to be on this septic. We're getting 2 septic systems.
The issue is that the problem exists right now, this afternoon.
Yeah,
It's
and
Sue's
trust me,
going to do that.
if I could, I'd start digging tomorrow to put this new system, but unfortunately, it's out of my hands because of the health department process. So that's.
Might be able to work with the contractor, put some funds into escrow pending the return. There are a lot of mechanisms to get you where you want to go, and we'll certainly work
And
with you on that.
relief from the Suffolk County Health Department or from the Building Department, based on the minutes and the resolution of this meeting, is a good context, right? So I don't feel that this is the right place for relief, because it's associated with the subdivision action. It needs to happen. But if you need some relief to get going, knowing that this is our process, I think, that's something the board would support.
Okay, I mean, I'll talk to Sean and
Yeah, talk to
hopefully,
Sean and see what they can
We're
do.
going to get you a final conditional approval today, and then allow you to move forward as fast as you can. Seth, you conditions?
We do have a chance to amend this and put in either the performance bond or whatever we
No,
decide.
we're
Well, no,
looking
no,
for, before,
Prior to signature,
Yeah, okay.
prior to signature. Do you have conditions you want to review with us, Seth?
Yeah, certainly. We can go quickly through the map revisions. We need to update the title block and zoning data. The clearing calculations will need to be put on there. They were on a separate map, as far as I could tell, as well as the water main. The postal delivery house numbers, the billing envelope will need to be removed from the final map. The map should state that there's a declaration of covenants and restrictions. The engineer would like the 3-inch drainage note to be added. The zoning board of appeals also has made a decision on the front or rear yard setback. I can't recall which, but
that was the rear.
it was the rear yard setback. Then we have the DEC's clearing window for the northern long-eared bat note, and a project limiting fence for the proposed parcel 2, and parcel 1 for that matter, and a signature block to be added. The payment of the park fee. The parcel number 1 with the existing house will be overcleared upon subdivision, so we'll need to do a revegetation, but that will be not require a paid application if we approve it through this resolution. And then we'll need a declaration of covenants and restrictions, the standard issue, no further subdivision, no lot line modifications, no new utility poles, utilities shall be underground. I did put the 3-inch drainage again there, and the retention of stormwater runoff. Compliance with the DEC, northern long-eared bat regulations, and the project limiting fence once again.
So here we need to add a covenant for, is that going to be by covenant, Dennis? That we?
No,
Okay.
no, that's a condition.
It's gonna be a condition.
Condition, okay.
That would-
Yeah. Okay, and the Mylars and the prints.
So the Mylars, the engineer's requirements, and the legal documents, those are the standard issue fare there at the end.
All right, great. Any questions? Let's
But are we going to add a condition now? Is it on here?
No, I don't have the addition of a performance bond, that's why.
No.
No,
No, it's not a performance bond, it's actually the
Prior to signature.
installation of the
It
system.
is just prior to installation.
installation of the
The IA system, prior to
IA system.
signature. Okay, do we have a motion for final approval?
Well, I would like to hear, the next time you come back before the board, one, clarification on the length of process for the IA system and the application. Let's get some clarity on that, because I want to know exactly how long that takes. Is it really a 6-month process, or can that be speeded up?
With the health department?
Yep.
Okay.
And the second is finding out whether you can get a building permit in the meantime.
I will update the board on those
yeah,
matters.
because
for
you
certain.
may not appear before the board again, right? Maybe. Yeah, so that'll
Okay,
be a
very good,
condition.
I'll amend that, so we'll,
We have a motion by Leslie, second by George. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
thank you.
Seth, thank you. Are you on the next one? Oh, no, Anthony.
Actually, Keshtar, Canoe Place, this is a 2-lot subdivision in Hampton Bays on Canoe Place. This is just an extension of the action deadline for adoption of the pre-app report until August 27th.
Very good. Do we have a motion? Motion by Kate, second by David. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions?
we
5
don't
yes,
have
2
it.
absent. How about the estates?
That's off the agenda.
Item 4 is off. And Teresa, are you ready to go on 215?
215 East Montauk Highway is final subdivision conditional approval.
This is the vacant one, right?
Oh, yes, I need this one, sorry about that. It is vacant. It is just north of, it's on the north side of Montauk Highway, just west of the Kennecott Canal. Sarah Churchill or Maggie, I don't want to mangle her last name, may be available on Zoom. I'm not 100% certain.
No one's on Zoom right now.
It's a 2-lot subdivision. It had to go back and forth to the zoning board because the Department of Public Works required relocation of the proposed common driveway. And so we finally are back again for final subdivision. And I've gone through it and I've sent them a copy of the conditions and they are agreeable to all of the conditions. The conditions are pretty standard. Again, I'm not sure if Maggie or Sarah Churchill are online.
No one's on Zoom.
Okay, perfect. They said they were
What's
agreeable.
around this? I just want to situate where the property is.
So it's almost directly across the street from the gas station right near the canal.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So you,
Next to Canoe Place?
At the shell?
yeah, it's like 3 lots down from Canoe Place. Let me
Okay.
look it up.
From where? 3 lots down from where?
Canoe Place in.
Oh, really? Is that the Shell station, the gas station?
Yes, correct. So this is, so this is the Canoe Place. This is actually the navigation and was the canvas.
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah.
Yep. And then this is the gas station here. So again, this is 2-lot subdivision with a flag lot. They got variances because technically they were a little short. It's a 40,000 square foot lot as it exists now. And in order to put the flag strip in, one of the front lot had to be a little bit smaller than 20,000 square feet. So again, the conditions are pretty standard and the applicant is agreeable to the conditions based on our discussions when I had emailed them to the applicant earlier today.
I had a question about the couple of Conservation Board comments on it. They related to clearance and the pervious driveway, I think.
So part of the problem with the driveway is the slope's
Slope,
kind of
yes.
up. So they need a common driveway approval from the engineering office, which they've submitted draft plans to me, and I said I needed physical copies to send to the engineer. But for the purposes of providing safe passage, I believe it's probably gonna have to be paved. But that's gonna be at the discretion of the engineer, because part of the common driveway plan will include any drainage necessary.
Yeah, I think they had talked about a 3-inch drainage and drainage solutions. It was just inconsistent with what Conservation Board had recommended.
Yeah.
And there were also concerns about clearance, so I just wanted to make sure that we
Well,
maximize the extent to which we're incorporating those comments.
right, so we don't have clearing standards on this particular property. However, because again, the front lot is about 16,000 square feet, and then the rear lot is also, the bulk is pretty small because of the fact that you have to have the flag. But the rear lot does have a buffer along the train tracks, so there is gonna be some vegetation preserved there. And I'm sure, the applicant is gonna, whoever buys the front lot's gonna preserve some vegetation, because nobody wants to be right on the highway there.
And was there conversation about the driveway opening up right onto Montauk Highway at that kind of very busy area?
No other access.
That's why, so they received variances.
Yeah.
And then they started the process of getting approval from DPW, because this is a county road.
Right.
And DPW is like, no, you can't have it on this side, you have to switch it on this side. So they had to go back to the zoning board and get their variances modified, because it ended up resulting in changes into the lot area.
Right.
So the Department of Public Works is what regulates the driveway entrances here.
So it's still on Montauk, but it's on the other side.
Yeah, I mean,
so-
there's no other way for them to get
Yeah.
access.
Yeah.
How
And
do
is
we-
is the new clearing restrictions we have in the town going to be applied to these lots now?
Yes.
This is very close to the proposed bridge reconstruction, so how do we address that in terms of any construction timeline?
I mean, that's like 3 years away at minimum. And I don't know if there is anything that we, as a planning board, can do at this point. I mean, the only other way to say that we can address that is if we prohibit construction on this lot for X number of years until it's done, but that's unfair. And
Maybe,
that's-
just as awareness, right?
Right.
To put it as a whereas in here, just to kind of flag that, that the applicant will coordinate construction timeline with bridge
well, again, I
reconstruction.
don't know if that's something that we can do.
It's offsite.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, I guess they'll just work it out.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I mean, that'll be up to them to understand what's going on and when they start to do this, right, to some
Correct,
extent.
yeah.
'Cause we don't know what the timeline really is.
Right, and it depends on a lot of factors, the engineering and
just had to
the
have public hearings
funding
and
and,
that, so.
God knows what else at this moment in time. But again, the conditions are pretty standard, there's a park fee, and so on. So the applicant has agreed to these conditions.
You want to look at the conditions?
It's up to you. The main one is, again, the covenant for the buffer, the minor revisions to the subdivision map, the 3-inch drainage for the impervious surfaces, and the common driveway plans for engineering review and approval. Those are the main ones.
And Teresa, forgive me for just pressing on this, but I just want to understand, we can't do anything about pervious driveway versus paved driveway. You're saying it's going to be an engineering department
We want, yes,
decision.
we.
We shouldn't say anything that says that it's been recommended that it be
I mean,
pervious.
I can put in a whereas, as it's recommended for the portions of the parking driveway and parking area that are not part of the common driveway. I can add that as a whereas, it's recommended, but for the purposes of safety and the fact that there's some slopes there, and you want to make sure you're capturing any rain, drainage and rainfall on the common driveway, and then also making sure you're not directing water into the county road.
Right, I think that's why he had suggested pervious. I can't tell you whether or
Right.
not.
No, I mean,
that's right or not.
Pervious driveways are always preferred because it does require less drainage and is less expensive, but when you have some slopes and you're going into a county road right of way, that's always a concern about making sure you're capturing all your drainage and you have safe access.
Sarah is on Zoom if you have any questions.
I beg your pardon?
Why is the park fee 5,000? They get credit,
There's 2 lots.
but they get credit for the one,
Because there's no home on either of the lots.
but I thought they always get credit for the one house.
Anthony, if you have a 2-lot subdivision and it's vacant, both lots are vacant, would it be one park fee or 2 park fee?
Don't they get credit for,
$2,500.
for the, in other words, they could,
Underlying lot.
Yes, as long as it was, it's written out in the regulation, provided that there was a legally existing lot as part of a subdivision that was approved
Okay.
after 1957. But generally, you get credit because it's not generating a park demand, because you can get a building permit
it's the
today.
additional, right, you can get a building
Okay,
permit.
so I'll double check the code
Okay.
and then amend this as per the code. So if it's 2,500 for the one lot, then I'll amend this to be 2,500.
Okay, should we adopt it with 5,000 now, and you're saying come back with it, or should we adopt it at 2,500? And
I would adopt it subject to the change in accordance with the town code.
Okay,
Yeah. And then that way I can make the change and you don't have to look at it again.
I'm like 80% certain it's
I think so,
2,500.
too.
rather than-
I am too. I'm probably 85%.
I'll triple check the
As long as
code
the
and then
underlying
we'll adopt it as amended and then I'll just
Okay.
double check that for you, okay?
So we're doing 2,500 or 5?
Consistent with the town code, consistent with the town code.
Oh, consistent with that, that's good
The
language.
payment of the park fee in lieu of consistent with the
Yeah.
requirements of the code.
Okay,
Okay.
great,
Looks
thank
like
you.
someone did join Zoom. I don't know if they've
Oh,
got
someone's on?
Oh, Sarah,
Oh,
Sarah's on. That's the town, the engineer for the applicant.
Hi, yes, I'm the engineer from North Star Engineering, Sarah Churchill. I am just here to answer any questions if any arise, but so far I'm in agreement with everything being said.
okay. That's great. Were there any other issues we need?
No, so I'll amend it to be consistent with the town code for that one particular condition, and then we can proceed with adoption.
Great. And we have a motion by George, we have a second by
Second.
Kate. All in favor? Aye, opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. Thanks, Teresa. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Stuart Boski,
Stuart Boski, here you go.
that's in Wapno.
So, this property has been kicking around for a while.
Yes.
It is a lot that had 2 existing dwellings on it, and a new home, one of the homes was demolished not that long ago. We had done a pre-app report, which expired in January of 2023. We had had considered granting the proposed subdivision because, again, it was separating the 2 residential lots. So this is just a request to reapprove the pre-app so that they may submit the final subdivision. And I have notified the applicant's agent that it is the preference of the planning board to have the existing house that remains at the site to be upgraded to an IA septic system.
Okay.
So I've notified them of that.
How long has it been before since the hearing, the pre-app hearing?
The pre-app hearing, I don't know the exact date, but the pre-app report expired January 27, 2023.
So we're reauthorizing the pre-app report?
Yes. And then we can have, because it's been a while, we could ask for a hearing at the final.
Yeah, I was gonna say, usually it's a
Probably at least-
two-year window, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
it's probably
so
at least
that would
4
work.
years since we've had a public-
So it's just a simple resolution reauthorizing?
That's correct. And I should point out that it was a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA, and they needed variances to do the subdivision. So part of the reason why it's taken so long is because they needed variances, and they did the zoning. We did the SECRA at the zoning board level, and it was a neg deck. So
Okay.
so we don't need to do SECRA when we do the final. Okay.
Do you want to put the public hearing in the
No, that's for
resolution,
when they
or you'll
submit their
just do it
final.
administrative? Okay.
When they submit
Yeah,
their final?
they've already submitted the application for final. They're waiting to get
Are
their.
we deeming it
approval.
complete today? The final?
No, not the
Oh,
final. Mm-mm.
okay.
And then, so we'll deem this one reapproved, and then at the next meeting, we'll
Good.
consider the completeness of it.
Yeah, I was only asking whether you wanted to archive that we're saying we would do a public hearing at final in this
Well, no,
resolution, just so
because
we have a
at the
record,
next,
right?
from my recollection of the application that I've just reviewed, it's complete, so we can just schedule it for a public hearing.
Okay.
at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Great.
Just remind us. Do we have a motion? Motion by Kate, second by Leslie, all in favor? Aye, opposed, abstentions? 5 and 2.
Let me go grab Claire's.
Okay, Claire's next.
Yeah.
Northwell Health. Oh, this is the
The
big,
rad.
that, which is the rad.
But just here, we'll do number 9 real quick.
Number 9, let's do it.
That's 225 and 251 Butter Lane. That's the Joe Farrell mini storage that we approved
okay.
a while ago. I got the as-built, I did the inspections. It was a $300,000, pretty expensive, $300,000 landscape job, so we're just here to set the maintenance bond at $100,000.
Very good. We have a motion. Motion by Kate, second by David. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes and 2 absent. I guess North Sea Cabin is kind of involved, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
And they're coming up, that's
Claire.
fine. Let's get this fixed.
Getting
You want to do some complete?
What's that?
You want to do some completeness?
Oh, completeness?
I could quickly do
Yeah,
15.
let's do that. Which one?
14.
14?
15.
Oh, 15, okay, yeah, good point, good catch. 315 North McGee Street, final application, is it complete?
Yes, I'll just put the property up here. This is a 4-lot subdivision with open space back here. We looked at this a few times, actually. It was previously deemed incomplete. It's now complete, so I'm recommending deeming it complete and scheduling the hearing for September 25th. 314, so deem it complete, schedule the final hearing for September 24th.
Very good, do we have a motion? Motion by George, second by Kate, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. How about the North
16?
Sea final, 16?
So, here, this one, we also previously deemed incomplete, if you recall. This is the one, and actually the town board just had a public hearing yesterday that involves the preservation along Scotts Road here.
Oh, okay, oh,
And the
yes.
Subdivision
The
along.
Kremberg, yep.
So we deemed it incomplete previously. They gave me a revised map with the topo on there. While there are some slopes in the open space area, nothing that would affect yield, which is what I was looking at. So now we have everything, so I'm recommending deeming that application complete and scheduling the hearing for September 24th.
Very good. Do we have a motion? Motion by David, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? We have 5 yes, 2 absent.
I got 3 things done while we were waiting.
Good timing.
Perfect.
There. Hey. Are we gonna jump back now? All right, to Northwell. For item 7, Northwell Health, Mr. Bennett.
Hello, everyone.
Always a pleasure. Come on up.
Pleasure's always mine, Dennis. Thank you. Been along for many years.
Yes, it has indeed.
Neither one of us had any gray hairs.
At least we have hair, John. Make yourself comfortable. Welcome.
I got one more copy.
Thanks.
Come on up, gentlemen, and we'd love to hear who you are for our audio record when.
My name is John Bennett, Bennett and Reed, 212 Windmill Lane, Southampton, New York, and I represent the applicant, Northwell Health.
Very good.
My name is David Wortman. I'm the Director of Environmental Services for VHB Engineering, offices in Hauppauge, representing the applicant.
Welcome.
I'm representing the applicant as Andrew Mitchell, President Emeritus of Peconic Bay Medical Center.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Claire, I think you're going to give us we typically have a
Little overview?
little overview from staff. I think we are familiar with the project.
Yeah, so this was this is a pre-application review for properties. There's actually 2 properties located in Eastport on 242 Old Country Road. It's currently farmed, located in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, the Central Pine Barrens area for development. It is actually cited in the town code and in the Pine Barrens plan as a receiving area. The southern portion of it is partially zoned CR 60 and CR 200. So it is also bifurcated with the zoning. I just want to put that layer on so you can see that. So the southern portion has the CR 60, the portion that's closest to Old Country Road. So there was a public hearing towards the beginning of the year. There was a pre-app report that I had produced in April, that the applicant got a copy of, the board had got a copy of. The applicants, on August 7th, submitted to us a revised plan. So currently, the plan has a yield of 10 lots. The existing plan that was submitted was for a RAD development where you're transferring rights from the core area into the parcel, and they proposed a total subdivision number of 46 lots. Going through the code, getting feedback from the Pine Barrens, there appeared to be out of line with what Pine Barrens would want to, the intention of the Pine Barrens, which is basically even with the transfer, is 1 acre development for the parcel. So that's the notes I had in the, I'm just kind of giving you a summary, but we'll go through the actual report together. The applicant actually provided an updated plan that came back with that 1 acre development. So it is now proposed at 26 lots. It does still need a housing, Long Island workforce housing bonus of 3 lots as a minimum. That is the recommendation coming out of the housing department, depending on the number. So when it was 46 lots, it needed 5. Because it's been reduced, it needs 3. I would want to verify with that office that that's the number doing. So that's kind of a summary. The report's the same as the one given to you in April, except I have a couple like highlighted bold blocks where we can talk about some of the issues. And in summary, I would like to have an opportunity I would recommend maybe a combo plan, and let me give you the plan so you know what you're talking about here. This is the field
This is
plan.
proposing TDRs from Brookhaven?
No.
No?
Well, same school district.
I know, but is it from the town, it's within the town of Brookhaven into the town of Southampton?
That's
So
Southampton.
the part of the, so there's no part of town of Brookhaven?
No.
Okay. It says it is.
No, I said that there is.
School district is the issue.
Oh, no, it's the town.
That's all. No, it is the school district. Look at the law again. Okay, well, I'll go with the black and white law.
So the issue is that, bigger issue in the town of Southampton and in the school districts. That is one thing. If you're going to transfer credits, that might be in the same school district but outside the town of Brookhaven, I think you have to have permission from the town board.
That's what I was getting at.
From both entities, Brookhaven and the town of Southampton.
So the sending costs may be outside the town of Southampton.
But
Some
to
of
accept it in the town of Southampton, you need town board.
Right. But ideally, for you to have jurisdiction without any other approvals, then they would come from the same school district and the town of and in the town of Southampton.
So we don't know the answer to that question?
Currently negotiating for the credits. They will comply, but I'm not about to disclose
Right.
obviously.
Is there a report?
Yes. Oh, I guess I sent it, didn't I?
Yeah, she said,
You have the map.
no, they do report.
There was a report?
It's under here.
Under here? Under somewhere.
I can share with you.
Is there an extra one?
I thought there was, I gave you 6. What happened to them? That's not yours. I gave
I
them,
got mine.
you
I
put it
have an
down.
extra.
What happened to it?
We're down.
The kid who forgot his homework. No?
Okay.
The dog ate it.
Everybody else got it.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't have
Dennis was listening to me very closely. That's what was going on. There's a lot of information here. This is your first opportunity to review it. The essentially, after we go through it, my two recommendations is, one, possibly looking for a plan that provides more open space and unfragmented open space. I know the property to the north is not part of the RAD, but because it's being developed together, possibly being more, that those parcels being incorporated to the north, I'm sorry, to the south, and then the north portion, which is basically not farmed or not used at this point, be the open space for the parcel. So that is one consideration. Now, when you do an open space parcel and you're transferring the development rights, that is part of your open space. There's no doubt about that. So that analysis needs to happen, because at the end of the day, there should be the Pine Barrens is saying at least 31 acres is going to be your open space. What is that? Is that, okay, so 20 of those acres are the transfer credits, or what is that? So that analysis has to be done and shown on the plan pretty accurately. And then once you have a plan like this, that would be what I would recommend. We just go back and get the referrals from the Pine Barrens, from the housing department, just saying this plan looks better. Because another issue is that the fire marshal said it had to have secondary access because it was over 30 lots. Now it's 26 or possibly 29 because we want the affordable housing to be incorporated on the property. Then I just want that all lined up, so that's a very complete report, so that when they come to the next stage, the preliminary, that you have a lot of your issues been addressed. So that's my recommendation. But
So the three additional workforce housing lots
Mhm.
would then almost mean that these lots could go a little bit smaller than shown on the plan.
I did a quick number, because these lots are shown at 1 acre, but with some additional open space, you could get a pretty good number, about 25 acres of open space with this, and still accomplish the roadways that you'd need, the lots that are the three lots that aren't part of the RAD could be still at 1 acre, and the other ones would be a good half an acre, and they could still apply with. But that flexibility is there. So the 3 affordable lots could be a little bit tinier, because that's even better for them for maintenance purposes. So, and also what you can do, depending on the open space, is you could, instead of having these subdivisions where, the clearing is 50% or, 60, you allowed 65% clearing, you could have no clearing on it, and you're not seeing this anymore because you've already provided the open space someplace else. So there's a number there that you can achieve that, and we could maybe not ever see this again for clearing purposes for APOD. I'm just suggesting that. There's a lot to do with this. There's a lot of options, so.
So right now, the open space, it looks like equals 10.3 acres. Your goal is to get it to 25 acres.
That was a very quick
Back of
number,
the napkin
like
math.
yesterday
Fine.
morning, and back of the napkin. But there's
Okay.
definitely ways to do this. So, yeah.
Would it benefit the board to understand the history of trying to develop this? Or is that really not?
It would help this board member.
Then perhaps, David, you can walk through this and I'll give color commentary where necessary. And
Sure.
across the table and tell me to be quiet.
I will supplement. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, please do, because especially when you look at sort of the longer history of the parcel, I can't articulate it nearly as well as you could, Mr. Mitchell. But what I think is fair to say is that this is a piece of land that for a long time over history has had a medical mission associated with it, meaning that it was owned by hospital. It was envisioned that one day it would be used for a hospital-related function, medical function. And in the more recent history, which I can speak a little bit better to because we've been hands-on and involved with.
Let me just jump in first.
Yeah, please.
If you want the full history lesson, because it is kind of interesting, at least to me. There was an attempt many years ago, we're talking in the 70s, to create another hospital on the East End. It was going to be called the Hamptons Hospital, Inc. It was going to be an affiliate of LIJ. I don't know if anyone remembers back to those days.
Robert.
It actually got a certificate of need approval. It was getting ready to be built. The board of the hospital, one of the hospitals that exist today, went back to amend the CON to change the financing structure. And at the time, MCFFA, which was the predecessor of the Dormitory Authority, agreed to that change, and then the Department of Health decided the hospital wasn't needed anymore. So the hospital appealed, it lost, and the asset was then transferred through the not-for-profit charitable law to then Central Suffolk Hospital, now Peconic Bay Medical Center, now Northwell Health. In the 90s, when the three hospitals, Central Suffolk, Eastern Long Island, and Southampton came together, there was interest in developing a common ambulatory surgical facility on the property. It received, to the best I can tell, approvals for zoning. It received a certificate of need that was actually held by Central Suffolk Hospital. And when I came in the 2000s, I asked about this, and no one wanted to build an ambulatory surgery center any longer. And so we withdrew that CON probably 20 years later. The next part of this is, I'm the CEO of Peconic Bay for 25 years, and I keep looking at this property. I almost sold it off because of the near bankruptcy of the hospital, but we survived that and we held the property. And I was looking at ways to meet a social mission, because there weren't going to be more hospitals built, at least on the East End, maybe NYU will and Melville now, but there weren't going to be more hospitals built. And we met with the town on numerous occasions, previous administrations, and we came up with what I thought was a incredibly unique model of senior affordable with affordable for the hospital staff in a combined set of housing that will allow the hospital staff who are getting affordable discounts to be able to provide services to that medically at-need population. And through Northwell's telehealth services and home nursing services, be able to bring a very unique medical housing campus to the community. We never got the approval to change the zoning. So
It was a long process.
it was a very long process.
It was here, I think you saw it on a referral from the town board.
And honestly, disappointing, at least to me, because I think it would have been an incredibly unique model. It's been used in other parts of the country. I think it would have been quite beneficial.
And it had staff support. I think it had support on this board.
But today we're here because at the end of the day, we need to convert this property into some form of a performing asset to support the underlying mission of the hospital. So with that, I go back to David. Unless there are any questions.
So can I ask a question? Would the intention here be possibly to sell these lots to housing staff preferentially that they can live locally, or just be like open market?
Possibly. I don't know yet.
Within the limits of whatever's legal and fair. In
Correct.
terms of the housing
Basically,
market.
what you're trying to do is build as many houses here as will be allowed on this 44-acre property.
At this point,
And all this
It's
is very much
50-year
appreciated,
process.
But this board really needs to focus on what
Yes.
they're allowed to do.
yeah,
on
but
the site.
some of the background is very important. And because when we came into this, I think I was the only one who was involved in a RAD in this area. A RAD generally is the Sophia Place, where the density was. We looked at the town code. The town code says 2 units per acre. That's what we filed. And because Sophia Place was actually was slightly more than 1 unit per acre. A couple things to note about that. It was clear at that time that the open space was deemed to be these credits, because what are you doing when you take these credits, take a 5-acre parcel and you sterilize it, That's 5 acre that's not being cleared. That's the way the Pine Barrens, this multi-jurisdictional Pine Barrens credit scheme works. You get to, in effect, sterilize these properties and have the scheme pass constitutional muster by allowing people to transfer those development rights into another property. And there was a lot of study, and this, amongst other properties, were seen to be the appropriate receiving areas. This is a RAD zone, so that's why we came in with originally, I think, a 46-unit plan, which wasn't the 250 or 260 that the staff reported, but again, we're trying to be malleable here.
I think the bottom line is that we would like to move ahead with a project that makes sense. We want to, we're not a traditional developer, right? We're a healthcare system. So we want to respect the input from Claire and the town. If this is what will be acceptable, we're okay with it. So we're here today to show something that we think meets all of the concerns, suggestions, etc. And I wanted the background for the board just to know that today wasn't just coming in off the street with a plan. We've been working at this for a while.
Well, I think more important to Mr. Bennett's comments is that this is a Pine Barrens plan. This is a mechanism to show that it worked. I was involved in the early 90s when the plan was being formulated, and I can tell you we were told this is not going to work. This is all theoretical. When they try to transfer and set up these RADs, it's all going to blow up. So this basically demonstrates the viability of the Pine Barrens plan, both from a legal standpoint, from a zoning standpoint, and this is what was envisioned 20 some odd years ago. So,
I do want to reemphasize what I said. We're here today to absorb, we've absorbed the recommendations.
Right.
We're not here to argue over 4626, the original plan. We just really want to be able to come to agreement with the town and begin the process.
Right.
I guess a little bit of a surprise, and Claire's been extremely transparent with everything, and it's very helpful in terms of seeing what the input of the Pine Barrens, Central Pines Barren Committee would be, even though it's my own legal opinion that they've essentially ignored the plan. But in any event, we're sort of trying to be compliant and came in with the 26 units. But now you have this, we're not seeking a density incentive. It's not. But now we have this affordable component, and I don't see us getting above 26 probably in conformance with the way we understand how Claire has interfaced with the Central Pines Barren folks and everything. These three extra units would be 29. It's not a desire to build 29. We're not asking for any density incentive.
It's not a density incentive, it's Long Island Workforce
Well, it's a
Housing.
forced density incentive, essentially what it is. It is.
Right.
It's a forced density incentive. Yeah.
Or you could buy, you could be 26 units
I'm
and buy
okay.
3 less credits.
Yes,
That is an option.
I'm okay with this.
All right, okay.
Well, maybe a
Or, yeah, either way.
technical question maybe for the engineer. The recharge, I'm assuming this recharge basin was looked at, and it's necessary, because a lot of these roads can do their drainage underground.
On-site.
Has this been looked at?
To answer that question, it's been looked at a level sort of commensurate with this pre-application stage. So there is plenty of time left. We're in preliminary subdivision application process and meeting what the town code requires for that level of design to make that application. There's still to be done. So there is, I think what you're getting at is there a chance of finding other ways of managing stormwater that reduces the footprint of that? That's certainly to be studied, if we get the court's permission to proceed to
Because the
application.
workforce housing, we're kind of locked in. I mean, we don't really have
I
discretion.
understand. It just so everybody understands, it creates a little bit of a jam in terms of you're giving it an unusable density incentive, because I don't see us getting above 26, so I guess 3 of them will have to be affordable. There should be some consideration to, you have the ability to talk about a fee, we'd have to see what that looked like, as opposed to
We look at that, or a hybrid situation.
hybrid situation, exactly.
Fee with on-site. Claire, I don't know, at what juncture we look at that. It's kinda
We'll
early.
look at the act and
It's your
look at
option.
the particulars.
Well, we're gonna get advice from the
Well, we
housing
usually bounce
director.
that over to, basically,
Yeah, it's Kara's response from the 46 lots is in here, and I would prefer that whatever plan we can hash out at the pre-app stage gets re-referred, so we have all that information at the time of secret, at preliminary stage.
So I guess to cut to the chase, unless we have anything else to say, we'd like the referrals, excuse me.
Well, I mean, I kind of want to go through the report.
Yeah,
You
I
have
appreciate it.
not gone through this. And I'm
Appreciate
not going to
that.
let go of my open space
But
comments.
what I do want to talk about, though, is I'm assuming that at the end of this discussion, we're going to get an immediate referral of this new plan.
Can we hear what Claire has to say first?
No, let's go through the referrals. I want you to, there is a lot of information in here.
And then we just got
Not
it.
discussed it, and you got it in April, but you've
I
never
wasn't
discussed it publicly. This has been extended as they developed an alternative plan, which they provided to us. And feel free to take it with you. So I just want to reaffirm, because we've had a lot of, choose your own adventure paths here.
Sure.
So we're looking at a project that came in with the yield of 46. We're down to 26 lots. I like your idea of reducing the lot size to fit the 26 so that more open space could be achieved on this lot, because the question mark of where the remaining credits are coming from still exists, right? And it is, allowable, but I think important that we situate open space and credits in the same area and within the township, even though it's allowable to transfer hypothetically, some from Brookhaven, some from Southampton. The goal would be to keep them as much as possible open space and credits here. So just wanted to reaffirm
Focused on
that.
Southampton.
Okay, great. And I appreciate going through the report too.
and the Pine Barrens Commission, have they done any analysis yet, Claire?
That is in here.
That's
So
in here.
that is in here of the 46 lots,
Okay.
not the 26 lots.
Okay.
Plan. Okay. So let's start on page 2. I put a little blurb about what I've been talking about based on this latest plan. But I want to, we'll come back to that. I'll start with the referrals, which starts on page 3 with the Pine Barrens. And the first couple paragraphs are kind of a description of Pine Barrens legislation. On the bottom of the page, it starts to talk about the parcels. 2.2 is listed as a receiving parcel. It is one of 10 parcels identified as receiving parcels in Eastport School District. 2.1 is not listed and not eligible as a receiving area. The code states the following in regard to the as-of-right development specific for Southampton. In Southampton, where most of the receiving areas are presently zoned 1 unit per 5 acres, the creation of residential overlay districts will allow the reduction of Pine Barren credits through an average of 1 unit per acre. In certain school districts, in order to accommodate all Pine Barren credits, the Southampton Town Planning Board may need to require lot sizes less than 1 unit per acre, though no lower than 1.5, half acre. That is if you find that, the interpretation there is if you find that you have too many credits for Eastport and not enough landing zones.
Right.
In this case, we have 10 landing zones that have not been used and there is some credits out there, hopefully, and then where are those to be landed? That's why it's like, this shouldn't be the only landing zone for these credits.
once identified. The proposed project density is half acre. The code states that the density should be 1 acre. Goes on to say, they're parsing that. And they go on to say the credits available in the core and Eastport is unknown. However, by looking at the map, it appears core credits are limited to in the Eastport School District and 9 other privately owned lots. And then transfer the credits from other school districts is at the discretion of the town board, if that was gonna happen. And then transfer those credits that would be outside in town Brookhaven is also at the discretion of the town board. So conformance with zoning at the density currently proposed, the project appears to be out of alignment with the regulations. Obviously, it's been changed, so these are my little summaries. And then Long Island workforce housing, this is where it's 5 units if at the density of 46. And then it is a type 1 action pursuant to the town code. Central Pine Barrens regulations were adopted with a GEIS statement, and the town of Southampton adopted a finding statement. If the proposal is consistent with the codes, the GIS, and the Southampton Town Finding Statement, then the planning board has the option to conclude the project is consistent with GIS and no additional environmental review is required. Just point out, and I'll put more language in here, is that obviously a portion of this property is not covered under that. It is in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. If it was just a 3-lot subdivision, that would require enlisted action on your part. So I do want to state that we'd have to do some type of secra if that continues to be part of the application. Standard development, planned residential developments. The site is located in the Central Pine Barrens and the APOD. The site is adjacent to open space, and the creation of open space is important. If clustered, the amount of open space achieved is significant. Conformance with the comprehensive plan. Obviously, APOD and Central Pine Barrens are part of that, so conformance with that is important. APOD, so part of the property is actively farmed, and I actually want to include another section here, so this will definitely have to be updated. Ag Advisory Committee did respond. The property does have prime agricultural soils. The entire thing is prime agricultural. Now, it is farmed. So their point was some of it should be preserved for the prime ag soils on the property. We have 2 different purposes that we usually have. They're not usually overlaid like this, where we have the Pine Barrens, the APOD in parcel that also has prime ag soils. So it is kind of like trying to choose your favorite child. Right?
Well, there's a direct connection with your mission, food is medicine. Get creative, it could be a great project.
Could be released in farmland, but I will put a point there that is part of the consideration on this. It will be major review. There will be a road, the park requirements, on site or park fee, trails. I guess there's a very significant trail. Did you put it on the parcel adjacent to it? We don't have any formal comments from trails, but they have asked. They've inquired about this. I think there should be some type of connection, obviously, for any developments to the existing trail system, which is adjacent. So that would be part of the consideration. And there were no public comments received during the public hearing, and it was closed with a 14-day written comment period. The fire prevention, February 3rd, had the typical requirements and related. There would have to be installation of fire hydrants and fire service. On the end, it does say it does not comply because being over 30 units, it would have to have 2 separate and approved fire apparatus access roads. So hopefully with this development, this change, this could be, these recommendations of non-compliance could be changed to being compliant. Eastport Fire District had no comments. The engineering division submitted this to me in May, so it wasn't part of the April comments. They seem very specific to the roads, nothing out of the ordinary. They do not recommend approval because they do need additional information, but that's typical. This is only a concept plan, and so there'll be more of a road plan at the final stage. And trails, they had no response to dates. Conservation, they had a field assessment, number 1. So it's a tree sapling farm. And then the untouched mature deciduous trees to the north, which contains similar overlays as the adjacent southerly property, is marked by ecologically important pitch pine, oak heath woodlands. Recent impacts from pine beetle were observed. So I guess there's some dead trees on the property. So rare species documented by the DEC include the submarine state endangered northern long-eared bat and the state threatened frosted elfin, for which habitat loss possesses the greatest threats. The relic woods on the northerly track also provide other essential ecosystems and their public values and benefits. They're recommending that the development should be restricted to the southerly track to the maximum extent possible, and then strict adherence to the clearing standards. Agricultural Advisory Committee stated February 18th, increasing the number of lots from 10 as of right to 46 lots with the transfer of development rights frustrates the potential for preserving a 50% agricultural reserve through the traditional cluster subdivision. A traditional cluster subdivision would allow for the continued agricultural use of the property and provide an incentive to secure a 50% agricultural reserve on the existing tree nursery to the east. No comments from the Citizens Advisory Committee. Health Department said there was no application yet. Pine Barrens received the comments. They had the existing conditions, proposed project. They described that. The proposal offers developments. Please submit a demonstration of conformance with the plan. Let's see. Midway, they say provide the amount of open space required. They're stating 31 acres of open space, acreage of the project site in the receiving area, an area not in designated receiving areas. Where additional lots are added as a receiving area, identify the number of lots per credit and the number of pine barren credit to be retired, and how the yield and open space calculations change based upon the additional receiving area capacity. So that is essentially the computation of how you're coming into conformance with both the Pine Barrens regulations and the town of Southampton. And the town of Southampton, as the main reviewer of this, would be ensuring that it is compliance with. So that information will be needed. Housing, referred the application. I'm going down to the recommendations at the bottom of page 13. Recommends that the applicant construct 4 moderate income units and 1 middle income unit for the project location site. Realizing the planning board may need to manage the impact of the applicant's revenue while ensuring that affordable housing units are a consistent design with the rest of the project, the planning board may permit the applicant to allocate the moderate income units as smaller, possibly 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bath homes. Further recommendations of the housing department include the affordable workforce housing be integrated through the development rather than clustering, maintained in accordance with the affordability restrictions, and withhold the issuance of percentage of market rate certificates of occupancy until the affordable workforce housing units are constructed or fee in lieu is paid. So, my recommendation still is that there be additional clustering on the property, especially in lieu of the northern parcel not being a receiving area. Possibly having all the units on the receiving area parcel, albeit the 3 units maybe they're entitled to be larger, but the remaining units be more clustered in the half-acre, preserving the northern parcel, which does not appear to be cleared at all, that would obviate their need to be any issues with the northern long-haired bats. There'd be very little clearing because it's mostly farmland right now. And as I said, there could be some type of trade-off with the clearing on the parcels, could be more used without having to institute a clearing restriction or revegetation.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So several times in this report, and consistent with your comments, lot 2.1, the northerly lot, is not a receiving parcel. So how can we consider this proposed development?
They're proposing just the access to facilitate to that parcel, and they're not proposing any additional units on that parcel where with as development. They're clustering
Just
as
making lots.
They're very close to the clustering that you would do. You have to do 65%. I think they might be shy an acre, and they're open space. But otherwise, that they're proposing a true cluster. What you would do.
So there are allowed 3 lots in that proposal, and they're providing 3 lots, right? So they're
Okay,
clustering them.
thank you for clarifying.
But it is one project, and I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of flexibility there.
Mr. Bennett, do you have-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, given that, the yield here, forgetting those 3 lots, the yield here is 23 lots based on the RAD, right? Is this then considered a cluster plan for that, or can we ask for additional clustering of this to give us open space?
I think you always can ask for additional
Well,
clustering.
that's-
That is my viewpoint.
That's not what the planning board position that they took on the Sophia Place subdivision. The transfer of the pine barren credits themselves were the open space. And I don't know how you square this multi-jurisdictional plan with any other interpretation. You're sterilizing 5-acre parcels and you're transferring them in here. And that indeed is the open space.
Do you have a schedule of the parcels that you're transferring yet, or you haven't secured?
No, we're negotiating.
Okay.
Because finding town of Southampton and Eastport, there's only a
Yeah.
handful of parcels, and I candidly don't, it's premature to, I mean, we're gonna have to conform, there's no
Right.
question about it. We've got some very strong, very, very strong possibilities and negotiations going on. We wouldn't be doing it unless we felt confident that we could get them, but.
I think that's going to be productive once those parcels are secured, so we can lay it out and we can actually
Right.
see what's being preserved and the open space, sort of as an aggregate, rather than speculating what might be preserved.
Well, the only comment I would have, and we'll just have to deal with this a little bit, I guess, somehow, but when you approved the Sophia Place subdivision,
Right, okay.
you didn't have
have
the
security,
pine
yeah.
barren credits identified.
That's right,
Remember?
that's right.
You
And then
they went all the way to final without the credits?
Yeah.
Representative Jim Zizzi did it with one of his partners there.
Sophia Place, I remember that.
Doesn't
What
mean
year
that
was
that's
that?
what we're doing now, though.
Right, what
When
year
was
was that
That
approved?
was,
A long time ago.
18, 19 years ago. Same law hasn't changed. Law hasn't changed.
wasn't changed.
Interpretation.
The situation has
Were
changed.
there,
Laws
were there
have changed.
credits available?
What, yeah, it was built
No,
out.
we had this, let's
No,
not
no,
discuss this
we're-
right now, that's the board's prerogative if they want to proceed that way.
I was just gonna say,
I do.
Well, find that in the law and show me
You
where.
find that in the law and show
No,
me.
it's not up to me to find it in the law.
I've said what I've said. If you want to say I'm
Well,
wrong, then
okay.
show me some proof.
I don't have to show you some proof unless
Okay.
there's a requirement in the law, Christine.
I'm deeming that it is. We're saying that it is. They're saying they
Deeming
want
it
it.
is going to be black and white.
I think it's actually your prerogative. I'm going to agree with Christine. That's your prerogative to know where these credits are coming
The
from.
credits have to comply with the requirements
They do.
to be transferred in. If I want to go outside of the town or outside of the school district, then I've got to talk to a higher power. I have to speak to the town board. But this presumes that the credits that'll be available will comply with those sections. And I'm certainly not, since I'm negotiating with alternate sources, I'm certainly not about to disclose that right
You
now.
don't have to.
What you just.
You don't have to.
Well, you don't have an
You have to say
application
that
for
they're there before the
consideration
final.
This is
yet, doesn't
similarities
really
to the,
matter.
this is similarities to our old filed map, where we open an old filed map, we set receiving areas, and then the applicant goes out and secures
Thank you
development
very
rights.
much, Dennis. Thank
Very-
you.
very much,
Ultimate-
very
Ultimately,
I don't
you're
think it's the
ultimately
same,
you're going
though.
to know
Yeah,
where
we're
they
gonna
come
know.
in, because I have to conform with the requirements of the code. So ultimately, you're gonna know where they come from.
At the pre-application stage now, you know that there is some difference of opinion on the board, and that's what this stage is for, right?
No, no, no.
That it will have to be
Let's
hashed
get this
out.
really straight here, okay? There's no requirement that other than telling you that I'm not gonna go to the town board and ask them for help to get Pine Barren credits that are outside of the school district or outside of the town. I'm not telling you that. So any credits that I transfer to this to accomplish this are going to have to be compliant. And that's all I have to tell you now. And that's all you asked me. You established the framework, you established, but you'll remember, Dennis, during the Sophia Place subdivision. That's exactly what happened.
And I appreciate that that's your opinion, that may
Not
not
my
be.
opinion, it's the practice
It
of
is
the
your
board that was
opinion.
happening. It was the
Practice
practice
based
of
on
the board.
20 years ago is not a practice.
Doesn't matter.
Yes,
It's
it
20
does.
years ago. It's
not
still a good
precedent
law and it's
setting.
still a good
It's
interpretation.
not precedent setting, no, it is not, you know.
Okay, the
it.
difference
direction
between Sophia Place and this is there were credits in West Hampton.
Yes.
There's credits in Eastport
Who knows?
Is this West Hampton School District or Eastport School District?
in the school district.
Can I just take a stab at this? Excuse me.
I just wanted an
Excuse
answer
me.
first. No, excuse me, I just want to know, is this an Eastport School District or West Hampton School District?
Eastport.
Eastport.
Okay,
We
not
believe
West
we have
Hampton.
identified several sources of the Pine Barren credits. We are in negotiation. We're not prepared to disclose that at this point in time. As I said from the beginning, despite this sense of animosity that's developed, we're looking to do this in a collaborative way.
There's no animosity, I don't really understand what
No,
you're saying, but
Well,
we have a
I
difference
think
of a
that-
legal opinion.
Yeah.
That's standard.
And this is new stuff for us. This is what our second rad.
We know
Can I ask
what
you a
we know
question,
what we have
Counsel?
to do, and we are prepared to make sure it happens.
Is what you're proposing that prior to deeming of an application, which we do not have before us, complete, that we would know the schedule of credits?
We
Is
would
that
have
your
had,
position?
we would have identified where the credits were coming from. We had this discussion early on.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody met and decided they didn't want to proceed that way, that we would let them proceed to the pre-application, and then as it progresses, those would be identified, that they had them.
I'm not going to
I
buy the
agree.
credits
I agree,
unless I
on the
know that
record.
the plan is going to be approved.
As I mentioned before, this is similarities with the old filed maps that we opened.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
we
opine
established-
further on this, that there might be a difference of
Yeah.
opinion. That's the end, that's how it is.
You can't force me to go buy the credits and pay good money for
Right.
them unless I know this is going to be approved. Thus, the Sophia Place model, I don't care if it was 100 years ago.
I
The
don't
laws
recall
haven't
it.
changed. The board made an interpretation, and the map was approved, and subsequent to that point, the conforming Pine Barren credits were transferred in. You've got me locked up. I can't proceed with an approved plan unless I transfer in conforming credits, and would be patently unfair commercially to make me acquire these credits before I knew what was going to be approved.
I don't think that's what we're
That's
asking
very
for.
No, you're asking for a schedule of where the credits come from before you proceed further. And I'm telling you that that's contrary to what's happened in the past, and it's not appropriate, it's not required by the law, to be unfair.
Okay, so that's noted, so let's move on.
Okay, yeah. We're
I'll
gonna
just
sort,
ask
we're
you to
gonna
do what
sort
you've done
that out.
before.
Let's just move on.
We're gonna sort that out. We're not gonna establish that here.
So why not
But-
refer
but
this?
I'd probably just like to back again, but whether we can actually ask for additional clustering, especially given the fact that there's prime ag soils underlaying some of these areas, which is particularly important to maintain if we could. You may say that, the clustering has already happened because you're taking the space from there, and it may not be just to create open space, but actually to create, to maintain access to agricultural soils for continued use as its intended use.
I understand the tension there. It's one of those rare situations, I will always scratch my head and said, why do you put, an ag overlay district over a,
But it's
an
not ag
protection
overlay
overlay
district.
district. This is a little bit of a different animal, though. But I know there's tension there, and we'll deal with them. I'm confident that we can get there, George.
And I would like to just mention too that the applicant and our team had done a lot of due diligence into understanding what are all of these different sort of competing layers of jurisdiction and different town code requirements that could apply in different ways. We've certainly have an applicant that's been receptive to the position that a 1 acre lot size minimum is contemplated by the RAD regulations and revise the plan accordingly. I don't think any of the other items that are listed in here are unable to be accommodated within the plan that's in front of you. And certainly at the pre-application stage, there's good information in front of you all. We've understood and heard, and I think we've committed to being cooperative as far as addressing the sort of dangling item around the affordable housing requirement and what minimum requirements might apply here. And we'll definitely do that and reflect that in the plan. And a lot of the rest of what's described here are things like engineering's comments, but also even like what the Pine Barrens Commission staff has offered in terms of demonstrating what level of clearing is proposed and all those things. Those are all really standard sorts of things that get addressed during your preliminary subdivision application process, which is what we're trying to get to. I think that little bit of history we went through of we had this change of zone, we had a vision, that was certainly respectful of the clearing restrictions and clustering all the development within the area of the site that's already been cleared and has been cleared for decades since prior to all of these regulations, and it stays that way. We talked about how we came in instead. We heard the town says, stick with the zoning that's there, and came in with something that we believe is in the spirit of the zoning and its requirements. We acknowledged after submitting the first 46 lot plan that there's a clustering element, which is how we ended up with the 3 clustered lots in the northern parcel that's not in the RAD. And then we've heard, of course, this notion that the 1 acre zone and substantially reduce the density as a result, and that's what's reflected here. I think we're at a point where we're able to address all of these different varying requirements. I think the affordable housing component, because it changes the map, is probably the one item that really needs to be sorted out. And if we can do that while accommodating Claire's suggestion, I think, certainly our client has been really flexible along the way here to try to get to the right place that works for everybody and lets this move
I think we
forward.
might be productive not to adopt the pre-app report until we get a couple of these issues clarified, especially the affordable housing, the clustering. Get a little more down the line.
That is true, right? That is
Yeah.
true. Affordable housing lots anyway.
And would allow Mr. Bennett to give us some written comment regarding his position. And you'll already have Christine's.
I'm essentially going to go back to the chronology of the way the Sophia Place subdivision was approved and when the.
It might be productive to have that, in front of us, but I think we should hold off, Claire.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is your first time seeing this from the hearing. When was it?
Well, we want to keep the
January?
process going.
Well, could you send it to the housing committee for the recalculation? Because now
I
we're
think we
down.
could do referrals. Claire, could we do referrals?
Yeah, so I listed some referrals there. Again, because the concept's
great.
there. If you do ask for more open space, I don't think any of these entities are gonna care about that or no. But fire marshal, town engineer, trails, I'd love to get some comments from them officially. Housing and Pine Barrens.
Yeah, none of those things affect the design issues that we're talking about, I believe. So if we could do those referrals, because I
Yeah,
like.
and that'll give us a
And
more
I'll need
complete
those plans
report.
back.
That's great.
We can't take it with us
So
anymore.
we're not on action deadline
They can give
anyway,
me
right?
more. They can give me more.
We're not on action deadline,
No,
Claire, are
you
we?
can have
You are always, but there's no harm, honestly, the applicant.
Do we need an extension resolution on this?
Yeah, so it'll take, I think, good referral takes about 6 weeks, is that okay?
6 weeks.
You could, I mean, it
Actually,
takes,
basically at this point.
I get them out, and then they, you know, they
Maybe it
take a
could be
month to
sooner.
get
I
back.
just said yes.
Okay. So this would be back on September, the second meeting in September.
Chris,
Again, I just want to
It's just a
emphasize,
meeting,
because I thought this was starting to go off the rails. We're not a traditional developer for a health system. We want to work with the town, and we want to do this correctly. There are certain things, obviously, we can't disclose at this point because we're in negotiations. I think you all understand that. But it is not our intent to play a game at the end and say we don't have the credits. It's not going to happen without the credits. We know that. And we know they have to come from the right school district.
And consistent with your parallel, how many times have I watched you guys open up a map when there were no, you know, in the file maps?
Let's not go down that road because we've changed policy on that, too, but it has some similarities. It has similarities. But I'm sure you appreciate the complexity we're dealing with. This is not conventional subdivision and zoning, and we're going to try to get you through this as expeditiously as we can. And thank you for your patience.
And I appreciate the referrals.
Yeah, and we'll get these referrals right out. So Claire, you're recommending a resolution for extension to
September 24th.
September 24th. Do I have a motion? Motion by Kate and second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, 5 yes, 2 absent. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. See you September
24th, John.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is Teresa ready to go with NYU Van Gogh?
Yes.
Okay. We're keeping it in order. Item 8. Thanks so much, Claire. That's
You're welcome. Fun time, good job.
You get all the easy ones.
I did.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Make yourself comfortable.
Don't be afraid.
Grab a chair and tell us your name for our audio record, please.
Brian Kennedy, partner with Forcelli Deegan Tirana.
Hello.
I'm Teresa Colonna. I'm with BHP Engineering.
Great to have you.
Matt Leonard, I'm with Gensler and Architects.
Excellent. Okay, welcome all.
Second one.
We're going to pass out the reports.
All right, so this is the former Pier 1 parcel. We had a pre-submission conference hearing on June 11th. The applicant is now for the application to convert the existing retail store into medical offices and reconfigure the parking areas for the purposes of accommodating the required parking. So we had a public hearing, and there were no comments received during the written comment period. And so just to go over the application and the issues that need to be addressed is that they're seeking again to convert to a medical office. It had previously received approval to convert to a dealership, car dealership, but they never did that work. So it's still CO'd under a retail shop. It is a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA. So SECRA will need to be completed as part of the subdivision. Cross-access, there is existing cross-access at the site. It's already been constructed. And we just need a copy of the cross-access agreement for the record for the formal site plan application. The parking is proposed at 128 parking stalls. I know during the public hearing that there was some concerns with respect to the proposed parking in the front, which is consistent with what's there now, but the board had asked the applicant to explore potentially reducing the parking in the front and creating a bigger green space in the front. One of the ways that can be accomplished is by taking advantage of section 330-100C, which grants them a credit for the cross-access.
That's right, yeah.
So some of those parking spaces in the front could be potentially reduced, and their parking requirement could be reduced for that, for the non-ADA compliant ones, obviously. Access, one of the things that the board had discussed was a prohibition on left turns onto Montauk Highway, which again, we want to make sure that that's the case. We do have cross-access out to Flying Point Road. Signage appears to be a bit excessive, so they need to demonstrate compliance with the sign requirements, and that may necessitate relocation of the monument sign proposed along Montauk Highway. And then prior to issuance of building permit, they would need to require project limiting fencing And then I believe the plan did have EV chargers on there, but I don't recall. Huh?
It
Yeah.
does, yes.
So
Yes.
just number 8 is the general standards for, or recommendations for sustainability. Okay, and then did you guys have any concerns regarding the recommendations?
No, we've already started to revise the plan to eliminate those 13 stalls along Montauk Highway. The cross-access agreement may need to be revised based on the redesign of this new plan.
Okay.
It essentially runs through some of the newly proposed parking at the southern portion of the site.
Okay. But we can work that out in the
Yeah.
final site.
Yeah. And there'll be major construction inside the building, I assume.
There will be,
Yeah.
yes,
Right,
yes.
so, I mean, part of that is to get an idea of the construction plan, so that we're not impacting on Montauk Highway, or,
Okay, so you want to-
You're not touching the outside of it, you're not changing the outside of the building?
No, there will be.
There will be some exterior changes, yes.
We do have revised renderings that we showed you at the pre-submission hearing, but were not part of our initial submission. If you guys would like to take a look at those.
Well, I mean, we'll
Hold
get a
on.
formal submission and it gets
Yeah.
referred to the ARB and we'll get comments from them as well. So on, do we want to add another item that just says that a construction plan? should
which is a
provide-
standard routine, only because it's right on 27. I'm sure you, and you have the space for staging this in the
No
this
problem.
big parking lot.
As for signage, we did see your comment. I understand it. Our signage will be submitted, will be compliant with.
Great,
Right. Yeah, and that's part of the ARB referral and everything,
Yeah.
so, okay?
Perfect.
All right. Any comments to the board, Hannah?
No, I think we're good to go. Well, our action then is to adopt the pre-submission report. Leslie?
As
So-
amended with the
As amended.
recommendation
Very
for the
good.
construction.
That's Leslie on the motion and Kate on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. Thanks so much for coming in. Apologies for the wait.
Thank you.
Anthony. Moxie Tavern.
They're gonna go fast.
I put it up on the aerial
In
here.
print.
Everybody knows North Sea Tavern, right?
More or less.
Or.
Thank you.
That's the wrong one.
At least it's good to see you. Lisa, tell us your name for the audio record, please.
Lisa Zaloga, I'm the architect for the applicant.
Great.
So I'm just give the planning board just a quick little history. This resolution that you have before you, the improvements that we'll quickly go through, this board approved back in 2022. And then, things happened. They came back in 2024 for reapproval and extension. At that time, it was referred back to the fire marshal, and the fire marshal came back with some general comments that they were working out and trying to address. The big issue was reconfirming that in fact the 92 occupancy rating hasn't changed subsequent, to this application coming in. I have confirmation that the occupancy remains at 92, which is what the previous site plan accounted for. And the chief fire marshal so confirmed that, and that a public assembly license application has been submitted. In fact, I believe Lisa gave to me today, they in fact issued that permit. So we were sort of waiting on these things, and so the board at the time decided to hold off on doing the reapproval until the fire marshal matter was addressed, and they did. So basically what I did here was I took the original approval, I put in 2 new whereases in the beginning here. The one whereas that the 2024 request for an extension was submitted by the applicant, considered by the planning board, who held off on issuing a reapproval pending further review by the fire marshal and verification that the occupancy rating remains at 92, pursuant to all prior approvals, and thus not requiring additional parking or sanitary upgrades. And whereas the Chief Fire Marshal, John Rankin, confirmed the occupancy at a maximum of 92 and that a public assembly license application has been submitted. And actually, I could note there that, and has been issued as of, I believe, today's date. So let me just quickly go through what the improvements were, so we, just as a little reminder. It was a reconfiguration of the existing 42-foot wide parking lot containing 5 10 by 18 spaces, and they're redesigning it. It'll be 44 feet wide, so a little bit wider, and containing 5 9 by 20 spaces, including an ADA compliant space. They're removing all non-conforming dumpster enclosure and providing a refuse enclosure adjacent to the building. They're removing approximately 140 square feet of existing paver patio that is located within 5-foot setback of the side yard on the eastern property line. Expand the area adjacent to the existing 100 square foot sidewalk area located behind the building by approximately 590 square feet for a total seasonal outdoor dining area of 750 square feet. Install 2 2-foot wide planters and to enclose the outdoor dining area from the parking lot. Install a 27 by 27 outdoor seasonal tent over the proposed dining area. And by the way, that was the crux of the largest component of the project with the outdoor seating. Install the evergreen plantings along the northerly and easterly property to screen the parking and the outdoor dining area from the adjacent properties. The number of table and chairs seasonally installed in the outdoor dining area shall be removed from inside the restaurant, so there's no increase in the occupancy rating. So they have 92, and what the plan shows is that 30, there's 60 restaurant, and then there's some bar in there. We're not increasing the seating capacity. They're just during the season allowed to take 30 of the indoor and put them outdoor, and that's how we usually do that. Install a wait station service window in the rear of the building to service the proposed outdoor seating. Install a 13-foot by 8-foot vestibule on the front door facing North Sea Road. So those were actually the improvements. So I'm just recommending the reapproval that was previously approved, subject to all the same conditions that were there previously. Fire marshal approval for the seasonal tent. Seasonal tent permit secured by the fire marshal's office. Seasonal tent shall be indicated on the site plans for signature. I added this new one, compliance with all requirements of the fire marshal pursuant to a memorandum dated July 25th, 2024, since that wasn't referenced previously. Only a maximum of 30 seats shall be permitted under the tent and transferred from the occupancy from the existing restaurant. In the event of weather issues, the tent shall be removed when sustained wind levels are anticipated to be at or above FEMA requirements. The liquor license shall be amended to the state liquor authority to indicate the additional outdoor space for service and consumption. The premise shall provide and identify an outdoor dining manager who shall be solely responsible for activities and fire safety pertaining to the occupancy of the tent. This will be in addition to the indoor dining service manager. Bollards or similar barriers to provide protection for the outdoor tent area is going to be required. Signage shall be located in the plan directing pedestrian flow. The seasonal tent shall only be installed and operated from April 16th through October 15th of any given year, and then submission of 3 sets of plans for signature. I should also point out to the board, at the time that you originally approved this, you did send a resolution over to the down board recommending that they install 3-hour limited parking in and around this area because,
They never
in and around this area, because there's a lot of
Yeah,
street
that's why I
parking.
had a question. It was like non-compliant with parking, but pre-existing?
Yeah.
Was that, okay.
Yeah, with no change in the occupancy, and that was the big
Right.
key, was there a change in the occupancy? I mean, listen, I've been up there, I haven't actually ever been there, but I have been up there recently, not when I'm in town. It does get busy. It does, I will say the parking, they're parking on the street.
So I just had a question about, I note that the original application was an expedited site plan application. Does that mean any process steps were kind of changed?
Typically on an expedited, they do limited referrals. Public hearings usually are not held when we do an expedited review.
And so here we are now, 4 years later, and we're still not allowing the public to weigh in on this?
The decision at the time was, these are, although I listed them, fairly minor improvements. There's no change in the seating capacity, no change in the parking requirements. So I don't know, how much significant additional information is out there, so, but that's.
Is
you know,
there,
I
is it
can
a
handle.
residential area? I mean, obviously, there'll be more noise with outdoor seating. So I just don't know if neighbors will be affected, or,
You know, again,
I guess I'm hearing what you're saying, which is like if they were expanding or changing, we would have the right to kind of, let's open that conversation, but because it's existing and.
yeah, and I'm
Client?
guessing, you know, they don't have the tent there, but I'm guessing there's an area that's being used, you know, outdoor dining now, you know, informally, so to speak. You know, I just, you know, that was, you know, the facts as they were at the time. I didn't review this application, but it was processed as an expedited.
Okay, so Lisa, any response to the, I think we're prepared finally to put this to bed, as they say. Okay, so do we have a motion for approval?
Motion.
Motion by George, second by Leslie.
no, I'm going to abstain from this one.
Abstain, okay. Do we have a second by David? Aye. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We have one abstention, we have 4 yes and 2 absent.
Just made it.
I didn't have to say anything.
There you go.
You got to hear all
And you're
these
client a
other
bill
matters.
anyway. Seth, are you,
We're on number 11?
11 Kirchabel? Right.
There you go.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Kirschbaum are here as well?
Yes, oh, great, hey, welcome. Come on up. Just tell us your name for the audio record.
Caleb Christopher, my wife Anna
Oh,
Christopher.
good seeing you guys there.
Nice to see you.
Okay, so today we'll be considering the draft pre-application report for the two-lot subdivision named Caleb Kirschbaum at 4098 Noyak Road in Noyak. This is in the R40 zoning district, 2.27 acres, or 98,955 square feet. The proposed 2 lots would be, I'm gonna just zoom in a little bit, on a previously subdivided lot from, that started in 1982 as Shepherd and Martin and Judith Shepherd. That had divided in 1982, this parcel and this was all one in 1982. And then in 1984, these two were broken off from that area there. So we're creating the subject property, also known as Lot 3. The requested action is to make 2 further subdivided lots on the parcel 3, one of which being 55,351 square feet. That's the one closer to the road. They'd both be flag lots, I should point out. And then further, deeper in on the lot would be 43,613. There are currently 2 residences, one a primary residence and then an accessory apartment on the parcel. So there are 2 residences in effect.
Can I point out something?
Yeah, please do.
The accessory apartment is not just an accessory apartment, it's an accessory apartment, an office, a workshop that's almost equal to, that's already been approved and done back then. That's almost equal to the size of the principal residence. So they're almost 2 houses the same size.
Right, okay.
Yes, both are CO'd and serviced by independent septic systems. I have pointed out in the pre-application report a bit of the history of how we've been looking at this project. First off, I had mentioned that it had gone through 2 prior subdivisions, one in 82 and one in 84. The 1982 subdivision did require certain covenants and restrictions. One, at which point they did say that at no time hereafter shall there be any additional improvements, structures, buildings, or alterations to parcel 1 without a site plan approval by the planning board. Again, that was when that the wetland also included what we're looking at today, which was created in 84 with another set of covenants and restrictions, which I listed out there. Again, a no further subdivision or modification for parcel 1 or for parcel 2 and 3. I did also point out that I had neglected to get onto yours, but there was another covenant saying that on parcel 3, the 20-foot wide strip of land that provides access to shall only be used for parcel 3 unless approved by the town of Southampton. There is a further point that Caleb pointed out, and I did deal with it actually later on, is that there's a .7 that says a majority plus 1 of the planning board can change all of those covenants and restrictions. Briefly, we have looked at this before as just a covenant amendment. It came in, and this application came in the October 25th of 24. We did hold a work session on March 27th of 25, at which point we discussed getting a new wetlands flagging, which was done by the applicant. So we have established that the yield can be met with the new wetland flagging. It would be deducted from the 55,000 square foot lot, still compliant with R40. We also had discussed upgrading the septic systems to an IA system for both the primary residence and for the accessory apartment, and that would be something the board would be interested in doing and leveraging as a way to change the covenant amendment if we also upgraded those systems. Lastly, in terms of covenants and restrictions, the Environmental Division did, in granting an administrative wetlands permit, did create a 75-foot non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer around the wetland boundary. That's something that'll need to be revisited if this subdivision proceeds. Further on in the report, it's obviously a minor review with a standard plan. SECRA would be a type 2, so no further action there. The comprehensive plan doesn't make specific recommendations to this area per se. That being said, there are some variances that will be required, and that is spoken to in the conformance with zoning. Variances will be required for 33011, and that's for a front yard setback of 59.8 where 60 is required, and for 33082, and that is the division of the 20-foot wide flag strip into two 10-foot strips. So they have already applied to the ZBA and are awaiting this report as our recommendations to the zoning board. Groundwater management, it's in the groundwater management zone 4, so 20,000 would be the min there, which has been met. It's not subject to Long Island workforce housing. The park requirement, as it contains 2 existing dwellings, I'm not sure what the board feels about it, if they're.
That they'd both be exempt because you have 2 dwellings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would have to.
You have 2 dwellings, so there's no park requirement.
Okay, so I will have to change my report to say there is no park requirement, as there's 2 dwellings. Let's see. Public comment was, public hearing was held on June 25th of 2026. A 45 written day was put on that for lack of Zoom capabilities that day.
Oh.
So we did hear back from some neighbors, and someone did speak at the public hearing. An encroachment into the open space to the east there was mentioned. There was concern about future development of the lots. But otherwise, it was generally supportive.
Yeah.
Then the referrals, we got quite a large referral from the engineering division. 3-inch drainage being .1. Topographic contours need to be included as well as soil test hole borings, where and what was found. Concrete monuments. It was pointed out by conservation as well that the 75-foot non-disturbance buffer needs to be on the map. And then engineering would like to also review a common driveway plan before final application. And they have a number of different standards that they want met. Construction standards, curbing details, stormwater runoff calculations, details for drainage structures. And they did also point out the Conservation Board might need to be engaged in that process since the wetlands are right there on the flag. And I think you had mentioned asphalt is not
It's
something
not
that.
conservation already, when they did the subdivision and I built the house, they said I had to have a impervious driveway. They don't want asphalt. We don't want asphalt. We live in the country. We want to protect the wetlands, not by putting down asphalt.
Oh, good, okay, great.
So I'll point that out to the engineering folks. For the
I mean,
next.
it takes a lot of maintenance in the snow.
Yeah.
and all that, but it's worth it. So.
The Conservation Board has taken a look at it. They similarly mentioned the 75-foot non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer being depicted on the map, and they request a 292-39B referral, at which point we can address those concerns. Office of Fire Prevention, standard referral comments, street addresses to be posted, driveways compliant, and they recommend the installation of water mains and fire hydrants, so.
I'm not quite sure how you go about that, but I mean, like, I've got a 1,000-foot driveway. I don't know where the fire hydrant is, but
It would be
we'll-
on the street, so.
So we might have, I'll figure out what that means.
Is it 1,000 feet more? 1,000 feet away?
It says, this is in excess of 850, I think. I thought under 1,000 was, but I stand, it could be.
I thought 1,000, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why it's recommended.
Here they are, you can see them on the maps here, I mean, not with distances, but here's the property back here. Got 1, 2, 3 on the road here.
Yeah, I don't think they need a hydrant, for the hydrant.
I always, when we get this scenario, this is a pre-app, so you note it and everything at the final. I always like to see, if you have two agencies, the fire marshal and the fire district, then it's worth looking at. But if our fire we see how it goes then. But
Right.
typically, if they're there, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Seth, I had a question. I was struck by, and thank you very much for providing this yesterday so
Yes,
quickly
yes.
after we. So it's really interesting to me that you have a second residence actually on the property already, and that does affect my thinking about it a little bit. But when you're thinking about a covenant amendment, this board said twice, no more subdivision in these lots. So it would be really helpful in a pre-application report if we addressed what's changed since '84 that would make it less of a public interest to have restrictions on the continuum.
Well, it does say in one section that it couldn't, and in another section it says with your approval.
82 said, reading Seth's thing, 82 said with approval, and 84 said no more subdivision, but you can amend it. There is a right to be able to come and
I just
ask
make a
for
big
it.
comment.
Let me just finish
Sorry.
yeah. And so I just think when we have a covenant amendment, a previous board decided there must be limitations here. So I think understanding what has changed would be a useful section of a pre-application report. That's all I'm asking.
Can I make a comment on one of the things that have changed? At one time, this parcel could have a major subdivision. They could have carved this up into all sorts of little things. We preserved it. We didn't want it carved up. And now that the fact that it's all preserved, it changes a little bit about having a subdivision because we've already given away 22 acres to preservation at our own, desire.
Yeah.
So it changed.
And I'm not saying those aren't really good, answers, but I just think it should be reflected in the report, as well as I'm not sure that the second residence is reflected in
So
there.
to that point, what this board, is considering here, I think, is the difference between other ones is, yes, there's a no further subdivision clause, and probably because we didn't have major subdivision, all that stuff. But the other side of it is, this case, they have two residences on there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, I
Make
think
it a
just
little
making it more
clearer.
explicit,
Yeah,
that's
more
all.
explicit.
Why we should basically change what was agreed to and sort of agreed to on behalf of the public.
Good point, we should
40
capture
years
that,
ago.
we'll capture
Well,
that
and
in
you
the.
indicated basically you're formalizing the subdivision as part of an estate planning process, right? For your family to be able to maintain that as separate lots. If they're two kids, they would
Right,
not
yeah.
have to share the
You
same.
remember the kids, yeah.
And and I'm not objecting to it at all, it's just, it's about making it explicit as to why we
say
should
why.
So
amend a
for
covenant.
that reason,
That would be I
They're
would point something
existing,
like
but
that.
formalizing them as separate for flexibility and estate planning.
And the second residence is already there.
Okay, I can make that intent more clear and the fact that there were, I do, yeah, I should point out, there is no increased density in this subdivision, which is not the norm. And I don't think I
Exactly.
actually said that explicitly in the pre-application report.
Because you had to rush to finish it because somebody asked you for it.
There was a lot, strangely enough, for such what you would think would be an easy project, a lot going on in here.
You have recommendations then?
Yes, yeah, so recommendations and findings, as pointed out, the ZBA will need to get engaged on the variance for 33082 and 33011. The driveway being 10 foot and the side yard there, front yard, excuse me.
I need 4 inches more out of the 60.
Yes.
I need 4 inches more,
Oh,
so
okay.
hopefully that's not a big.
Then I do point out the two covenants that would need to be amended. And that would be at the discretion of the planning board with a majority plus one to facilitate this subdivision. That would be for the no further lot line, no further subdivision. And I felt if you're gonna do a covenant amendment, maybe we would change that, the access covenant that said that only parcel 3 would have it, no piece of land, no lot, since we're amending covenants at that point. So that was point 3. Then we have the 292 referral, which would perhaps change the existing covenants from the environmental division. Then we have the final map needs to be updated to show the wetlands as a wetlands preservation area, along with the 75-foot boundary for the non-disturbance, non-fertilization area. I pointed out that the encroachments onto 4170 Noyak Road, the open space or preserved land there to the east should be removed, and that photo documentation, which actually has arrived already, would suffice to show that those encroachments are gone.
You can't, I appreciate the gentleman mentioning the encroachments. You couldn't really tell where, the other parcels in the family, you couldn't really tell where it was, and it's like sitting like 6 feet over, so I removed it. And I sent in pictures showing it's already gone.
Yeah.
And you can't even see the neighbor now, but in the wintertime you can, so we removed it just in good faith, so.
And I thought to prevent something like that, if there were further building, we would put up a fence line to protect the buffer area, and if again, there was a building permit to be issued. Then the compliance with the engineering division's comments, hopefully they're going to amend those for the final app. I'll make sure that they do. The subdivision map will need to be revised as well, to show that no clearing during the December 1st except for the December 1st to February 28th window. And then I had the final application must include Suffolk County Department of Health Services approval for an innovative alternative wastewater treatment system for both lots 1 and for lot 2. Perhaps I would add on there that final map is required to show the location of those systems, and that their installation is required before signing. Okay.
I have one question. You mentioned the test bores.
Yeah.
Are those new, or I'm just showing them that because both houses obviously had a test bore already. You just want them located and.
I would have to check the map, or maybe they're not on the map.
But we're asking for them to be replaced.
Say again?
We're asking for them for new IA systems to be installed.
Yes.
So we're gonna need to do them at that time anyway, probably. So.
Installed before signing of the final map.
Right.
That's.
Just to make sure that it's clear to
Yes.
the applicant that they need to do this.
So before we can sign off on
I
this.
got you.
Okay.
Okay.
I believe that was the last point that I made.
Great. Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Leslie, second by Kate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? That's 5 yes, 2 absent to adopt the report. Thank you
If I
so much
just
for
ask
coming
one
in,
question,
folks.
since I'm
Yeah,
dealing
were
with
the
the
Shepherds
ZBA
your
in
family?
When are you back on the zoning board agenda?
October 15th.
Okay, so if I may, just make a suggestion, they're being held because they can't make a decision on the variances to create a second lot because of the covenant that it says that no second lot. So if I may, recommendation, if no public hearing is required, sometime between now and October 15th, the board would,
Could
consider
adopt
the
that
covenant
covenant.
amendment, yeah, since no
Okay.
hearing is required.
Good point.
Good point. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah,
So
we'll take
put
care
it
of that
back on
before.
for the covenant amendment.
Yeah, ahead of,
Between now and
September.
then.
Okay.
Were the Shepherds your family?
I'm sorry?
Were the Shepherds?
Martin Shepherd was my stepfather.
Oh,
Judith
okay.
Shepherd is 91. She's my mom. She's still alive and kicking.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
expecting me home for dinner.
We'll get you home. Traffic notwithstanding. Did you have a question for us?
I did, but I forget it. That meeting you were talking about, Anthony, is that this here a meeting?
Yes, the covenant amendment will be-
So when would that be?
Seth will let
The
you know.
next.
It'll be before your zoning board hearing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I might have to zoom in.
Oh, yeah, sure.
For that.
I think you've been to one, so you might not need to come back to this one.
To
I
two?
can send my wife, but she gets a little fanatic.
No, I think you heard the discussion we were recognizing to move forward with that, so.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Okay,
just-
thanks for coming in, folks.
Thank you.
Safe
Appreciate your
home.
time.
Thank you.
We have,
We're there.
Teresa, you're back. Yes, Hangar Charlie. Item 12, or item 12.
Yes, so Hangar Charlie, as you may recall, is a preliminary subdivision for 10 lots, inclusive of 2 residential lots. A lot that's going to host a recreational or commercial car club under a former PDD at the site at 72, 76, and 82 South Country Road in Queog, which is a former C&D site. It was part of the PDD to incentivize the remediation of the site. We started secret. It was my fault. I forgot to hire the traffic consultant you guys wanted. So this is what the resolution is doing, hiring the traffic consultant. They are putting a rush on it because it was my fault. This is just hiring the consultant.
Okay.
Documentation.
That's in the resolution. Do we have motion,
Yeah.
motion, but,
Motion.
George, you did the motion.
I second that.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent.
Now we get to the fun stuff.
Anthony, are we doing? going to
Yeah, so
94?
let me, this
Item
is.
13?
Yeah, 94 Dune Road. This is the Docker site, everybody. So just as a little cleanup, it'll be real quick. This began back in 2020 when we started this project. So just as a reminder, this is the Docker's Restaurant site on Dune Road in East Quogue on the north side of the road there. They it's an R80 zone. They have a pre-existing marina and restaurant use. They are currently before the zoning board for a change in that non-conforming use from the current restaurant marina to 25 condo units. So that application remains pending before the zoning board. Subsequent to them submitting that application to the zoning board, the law was changed such that the town board became the agency of the local board to approve such applications. However, anything that was pending before the zoning board would continue with the zoning board. So that application remains with them. When the application went in there, they, since they're the ones that have the application, SECRA was classified as a type 1 action, and we coordinated with all the agencies, and this board wanted to be lead agency, designated itself as lead agency, issued a positive declaration for the project. Upon issuing the positive declaration, the applicant went ahead as required and prepared a draft scoping document. The scoping document identifies all the issues that are going to be addressed in the environmental impact statement. They submitted the draft. We held a public hearing on that draft. After the public hearing, we provided the applicant with a final version of that, and that was going to be the basis for the draft environmental impact statement. Eventually, the draft environmental impact statement worked its way to this board. We did an initial review. We sent it back to the applicant. They did some additional work. They resubmitted then a completed application then, which was completed draft, which was then put out to this board, put out to the public as required. We had the public comments. We had a public hearing. And everybody came and provided comments. The applicant then takes those comments and anything else that was requested by the board and went ahead and they prepared a final environmental impact statement. That final environmental impact statement seeks to address, what was raised during the draft process that came out of the public review. So now we have a final, and I've been reviewing it for some time. You'll see I have all my notes lined up as I type them out on my review here. Under SECRA, the purpose here today is, and I've been extended it a little bit, is to determine whether the document is adequate for public review. I believe it is. Is it adequate for public review, and is it adequate for the lead agency to render a determination, a finding statement for this project? And so I believe that there's a lot of information out there. I'm sure the board has a lot of questions. I'm sure the board wants to talk about a lot of these things. Purpose today was my recommendation, to get this deemed adequate, get it to the public review, so that we can then proceed to work towards the findings statement, which is going to be the next process. Under SECRA, there is no final public hearing or anything like that on a final document. The heavy lifting gets done during the draft. And they require a minimum of 10 days. I'm not reviewing this alone, obviously. In-house, we have an engineer, we have an environmental division that looks at stuff, so we're using our in-house professional staff. What I would suggest is that I would recommend deeming this adequate for public review so that I could post it in the environmental notice bulletin, get it out for public review, get whatever comments we're going to get. 10 days isn't really enough. I'm going to recommend 30 to 45 days. I think that would be...
30 is no problem. We've been extremely lenient with extensions, so.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
If I could, that would be my request.
I think the maximum that we could extend it, I would prefer
the
45 days.
The SECRA just accounts for a minimum, but also at the final stage, the process is very clear and very defined. And that's because, like I said, bulk of the work gets done during the public review process, during the draft. So I would be hesitant under SECRA law and everything to go too far out beyond 30 days, to be quite honest. What I would say is, if during the process I found anything, I would obviously talk to John and the team. But I would like at least the 30 days. And I think that would be sufficient. What I was going to suggest, tell me what you think, John, is that ahead of that 30-day, maybe come back to the planning board and talk about some of the stuff as I, am going through it and, whatever else the board,
welcome that.
So during the 30 days or before the 30-day clock?
Before the 30 days up. I'll come back and before the 30 days is up, and we can see what, if anything's come in, if there's been any review, any comments that I have, any comments the board has. I think it'd be helpful for the applicant to see what.
I just have a couple simple questions. So what's the...
The team is here, right? I have to come today.
They're not the family, but I refer to them as the whole.
Sure.
There you go.
What's the date of the FEIS?
It was May of 2026.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody else have?
So the 30 days that you're looking to have this, we deem it adequate today, and there's 30 days from
For the public
today's date
comment.
for the public to comment
Yep.
before we.
What is our action today, Anthony?
Just to deem the EIS adequate for public review, so that I could post it on the New York State DEC's environmental notice bulletin and allow the public to provide comments on this application. Right now, it's not open to the public to review.
And it is, I mean, I did review as much of it as I could. It is you've spent a lot of resources addressing a lot of comments, but there are a lot of things where you've noted what was said and didn't really respond to it. I would really urge that we go with the 6 weeks if we can get comfortable there, John. I would.
Put you up against a secret deadline.
Yeah, it's governed by state law with the SECRA regs.
So 45 days isn't possible?
No, why don't we do the 30? I think Anthony will agree with me, that I've been in a pinch, and you've been very accommodating.
They have. To be quite honest, technically speaking, when this comes in, you have, I forget how many days,
10.
10 days, so they, since May, they have been giving me the extensions to review
And
this.
what's this period that you're proposing now, between now and the 30-day clock starting to
Right-
toll?
So right now, what, you have to get the EIS out for public review. It's got to be deemed adequate so that the public could review it and comment. A minimum of 10 days is required, so I'm just asking for a 30-day public comment period, basically.
And can the
Right.
public come back to us and ask for extended time to review if they?
The public could always ask for, but
Right.
this is, they're to provide comments on the content of the environmental
Right,
impact
right.
statement.
But I looked through it also, it's an extensive document, which is
David,
good.
presumably the public spoke already at the DEIS
Right.
phase. We're at the final phase.
Okay,
This is
got
our
it.
document. We're just saying,
public hearing?
we heard everything the public was saying. We took all
Right.
that into consideration, and these are the things that we're considering. And now you can see what we've done.
And just so you know, I get inquiries from neighbors and, who showed up and everything. They're aware that it's submitted.
Okay.
You give them the courtesy that I will let them know when it's been, ready for review, and then they could come and take a look at it. And so everyone has the access.
So I guess
to
I
it.
just didn't understand, when you were suggesting about coming back before
Oh,
the
what I'm saying
30-day
is,
period
we're gonna have a
starts to run.
30-day public comment period.
Yeah.
I want to sit with this board, with the applicant and their team, because I'm sure as it relates to the content sitting in there and questions, that we want to start, because you're going to ultimately have to prepare a finding statement. So I think it would be worth,
So during the 30 days?
during the
you
30
would-
days, come
you
back
want
with the
to come
team and
back.
we can start, as I go through my notes and everything else, and if we get any other further information from the public or from, any other agency who might be interested.
So, could we find out which date in August or September might be suitable, where we have more of a full board?
Yeah,
Obviously, we're
I-
missing two critical members. Our chair is not here, so that's
Probably the
a
24th.
challenge.
Well, I'll look towards the first meeting in September.
Yeah.
To start, we
we
can.
can. Massive litigation, and I have a
okay.
deadline by the 25th.
So we could initiate it in the first meeting in September. I don't have a problem. Like I said, I've been working diligently reviewing this, so.
That's practically 30 days from now anyway.
Yeah,
It's
that's
spending a
what-
lot of
the
time
days
in
are
traffic now,
13th.
so you can move
That's
through
30
this.
days.
All right, so we've talked about procedure. We haven't talked about content. Can you go through your pink Post-its for us today?
What I'm doing is trying to assess how we're gonna go in terms of a finding statement. So I don't know that I'm prepared to go through my handwritten notes with the board here. I'm not comfortable doing that, Kate.
So
But
if we're making, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your thought.
Go ahead.
So my point is, if we're making a decision of whether this is adequate, I'd like to review what the issues were that were brought up. I think I know many of them, but just the same as any other application. Let's go through, here's the points that were made at the public hearing and that the board brought up, and here were the things that were put into this new report to mitigate or address those items.
Yes,
And
so.
then we can determine actually if the report is adequate, not just by saying Anthony reviewed it, but as we do with every other application, receive the information you're presenting for our consideration.
Yes, what I would say is, if, when you go through the first, part of this, that's what this document says, is here is what the comments were during the public review, and they go on to saying, here's our answers. You may not like the answers, you may love the answers, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that was done in this document. We typically don't give a memo at this stage. We did obviously during the draft. There was a memo that said here's what needs to be done, but everything comes out of the public comment period and then goes back to the applicant.
So the core question I'm asking you is, what is the basis of your analysis that this is adequate?
Okay. So the first thing is, did they address in some capacity the public comments and the comments that came out during that period? And that included the comments that came from Sterling, which was a consultant that the opposition hired, which they address in there. So did they basically, did they go after the public comment period, did they address those comments in the final environmental impact statement? That is really the crux of the final environmental impact statement, is did they address the comments that came out of the public review period? The content of the draft environmental impact statement itself was vetted upon its initial submission and went back to the applicant. They submitted additional information based on a memo that was prepared and some public comments from other agencies. In the final, they outline in here, because it's very, very structured, the final environmental impact statement process. So it does in here very clearly say, here is, and they went point by point, here are the comments or concerns that came out of the public review period, and here's how the project has changed, or here's how it's been addressed. So I believe they absolutely did that in this thing. It's based on my,
So here we have a stack of reports and resolutions, of which we're reading into the record. This is a public meeting. We are addressing all of the issues within each of these things, which are small actions. This is a large action or impactful action in a sensitive environmental area. And what we're discussing right now is very vague, when I feel that this particular application warrants us to publicly discuss the specific things that were asked publicly. And if we need more time for that, that's fine. But if we're not prepared to do that today, then I would not support approving the adequacy of this. I trust your review. However, we do need to honor that process of being able to discuss those specific issues and what was now included in this report in order to adopt it.
But don't we go through the specific issues after the 30-day period and your report on the findings?
well, there's ultimately, Claire's going to chime in here. I can hear her.
Go ahead.
No, finish what you were going to say now.
SECRA is very clear. There's very little time for the FEIS because the substantial discussion is under the DEIS. The big chunk, the FEIS is the public comments and the responses. That's what's happening in this document.
So just
that's all we're checking is to say.
So when they go through a number of comments.
Yeah, and the things, and ultimately, this is our document, making sure that that information got in there. That is not the merits of the application. That was the DEIS, that was your scoping.
Right, but you can say,
Yes.
you can, again, this is very vague how you're discussing this document. There were specific, say, even if, I would be satisfied if you picked the top 3 issues that were the most mentioned and say, this was the number 1 issue that was mentioned, this is how it was addressed in this large document. This is number 2, this is how it was addressed, this is number 3, this is how it was addressed. You're just saying, I reviewed it, I feel it's adequate. I don't feel we
Can I
can.
ask a very specific question? I think, so in a number of the responses, what the applicant said was noted, comment noted. They didn't really address the comments. What are we supposed to, what is our takeaway from that? There's no response to it. It's just, they just said, we note this.
Your response to the extent you're not satisfied with that would probably be to make a finding that may not be supportive, but that's not necessarily what you would do, it depends on the issue, but.
So it doesn't go to adequacy, it goes to they're accepting that the public's point on this is correct and we're not, we don't have an answer for it. So that goes to findings.
If he's looked at it and he doesn't think that there's an answer for it, or that they are not able to give you more than what they've given you, he would recommend that's adequate.
Yeah, I mean,
They can't get more than what, he believes they can't get more.
Again, the question ultimately is at this stage of the game, is there sufficient information for this board to make a findings for this project, either a positive finding statement or a negative finding statement? And does the staff have the information to do that? Which is different than whether or not you like the responses to their answers or whether or not you think impacts have been effectively mitigated. Those are different, questions, as opposed to did they take the public comments and did they address them at that stage? You know, we'd have to get, you know, if you need something more from me, and I'm happy to do that for this board, I would need an extension from the applicant.
But let me clarify again, what I think we're doing today is you're saying to us, we got all these responses, and we think that we have enough data here now for you to review and give us a recommendation. And during that time period that you're developing this, the public has a shot at reading it and giving you more information. So we're not voting on whether we're going to say this is great or not. We're simply saying there's adequate information for you to do the final review and come back to us.
Part of the reason why I was suggesting that we would have to come to this board to discuss things before adopting the findings is because I think, to your point, Kate, you want to hash out a lot of these issues appropriately, which I do too, by the way. That's why I'm doing, you know, the work I'm doing.
Sure.
So, you know, I wish I could give you a
mean,
different
I would-
answer. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable with your decision. That's
Me
obviously
either,
not-
yeah. So, I mean, what I would request, so we have a little chance to discuss it, right? And present actually, when, every time, again, just going back to every single project that we receive, you're presenting, here's the project, here's what's going on, here are the issues that we discussed in specific terms. You're just saying, I feel this is adequate. Even,
No, I understand, again, as Claire
I'd
was
like
saying.
more information. Is
No, no,
that
I understand what you're
appropriate?
It's adequate for him to analyze and make recommendations as to what your findings should be.
And
Which
it's
is
gonna-
ultimately then your decision.
It's going to warrant a
That
separate,
you-
I would,
Yeah.
I would request for myself, and I don't know if other board members feel, that if we could extend this to the next meeting of the board.
Well, just so you know,
would be-
there's a team here.
Well, I'm happy
who
to
will be
discuss
happy to
anything.
come here and tell you what they've added into this document, what the comments were.
Do it now.
If you want to do it now, we're happy they're here.
I think it warrants a separate, you know, agenda item meeting at, you know, 4:45 is not, we're not going to accomplish a
Right.
lot.
We're
So,
on a deadline here, which I've extended. I have the entire team.
So we have an
here.
extension.
If you have the three, you want to talk about the three greatest hits, we can talk about those now.
I would
But
rather structure something more formal as a
Well, I
separate.
can't be here until after the 25th of August. I
Okay,
have-
so let's go for this September, what's
Well, no,
our first
that's-
meeting in September?
I mean, we're here, the understanding was it was going to be deemed satisfactory. What you're trying to do is get it out to the public.
Right.
And I thought Anthony's suggestion was a great suggestion, which is run it in parallel.
Yeah.
Not committing yourself to any, there's seems sort of some fear that you're committing yourself to some sort of action
We're not
right
making
here,
it,
which you're
yeah.
not.
We need to set a separate, you know, agenda meeting. You're available early September then?
Early September, sure.
Okay,
The
what's
only
our first
the only day I can is
Well,
the 3rd.
I could, you know, I could come back, I mean, I would recommend doing the adequacy so I could get out to the public.
Right.
But I could come back in 2 weeks on the 27th if that's what the
Well,
board would
he
like.
can't- you
Oh,
can't-
here on the
25th, after the 25th, I'm free. I have a
Right.
typical litigation
Yeah.
where somebody is suing because, God forbid, the neighbor doesn't want my client to have exactly what they have, which is, you know,
Welcome to the
which
Hamptons.
has educated all my children.
Yeah, the next meeting is the 27th. Does that work?
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah,
Santi, can I,
27th.
so let me ask, so if we deem this adequate, obviously it goes out to the public comment, you're reviewing it. The public
27th.
comment, the other set of engineers, the public comes back and say, hey, the responses to questions number X, Y, Z is not accurate, and they give an alternate answer. Well, you can still review that, and what's the process here?
So part of your, any comments that come from any involved agencies, the public, anybody else, will be considered by this board, presented to this board, and will be part of your decision on your findings.
I mean, if I may, get it out to the public. You're not committing yourself to a course of action here. We're just trying to get the public, you know, the public's always clamoring that they haven't had the opportunity to be heard. That's what we're trying to do. You want to come back before the end of the 30 days, the 27th, and we'll have, Anthony, you can have a list of items. Everybody can be here to discuss it. I'm happy to
Does
be
the
here.
27th work for you, Joe?
It's going to have to, the
Okay.
27th. I'll just make
Right.
it.
Why don't we do
27th of
that?
August, which is 2 days after the 25th, right?
Right.
I'll just say,
Time to recover.
My mind.
Are you
if
here?
the board's comfortable going forward, I'm gonna say no, I'm not comfortable based on the information, but if the majority of the board, I
Okay,
respect the
well, that's
opinion.
acknowledged, okay. Are you here on the 27th, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so, Anthony, I think our action then is to, based on the applicant's extension, is to extend the deadline. Are we extended to the
You're
27th?
gonna send out you're gonna let him send it out for public.
We're gonna deem it, oh, okay, what is our
So
action?
that's what we're asking, and Mr. Bennett is saying, no, we cannot extend the decision of adequacy to the 27th. And I'm saying, if we're
If it's a real
considering
decision, we
adequacy
should-
today, I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
If we're able to extend adequacy decision to the 27th, I will
have any
have
questions?
a
I have a whole
side.
team here.
No, as.
But I think we've heard from,
An FEIS is kind of the public's portion of the DEIS, right? It says, these are the 10 things that we have concerns about.
I'll abstain,
right?
I'll abstain.
And the applicant then says these are how they are addressed, and then if they,
Sure, if
they
there's 15 minutes,
adequately
then we can
address
discuss.
the
Yeah, sure.
comments,
You know,
whether
I
it's-
understand.
John, can you hold on a second?
Dennis,
You still have a findings opportunity.
Dennis, can we just adjourn for 2 minutes?
okay,
That's all.
we are adjourned for 2 minutes for executive session with
No,
council.
not exact, I just want,
Yeah.
can we table this and come back to it? I just want to.
You go to something else and I'll come back.
What's the next thing you
We're
have?
still in session.
Sorry.
What's the next thing you have on? Because it might be me.
I can do something
Seawold?
else.
Seawold Properties?
It's the,
It's
Topping rows.
but I can do something else.
I have topping rows.
We'll do some clearing, site disturbance, John.
Yeah,
Don't worry about
we'll
it.
wait for you, don't worry.
So are
You
we
said
adjourned?
Seawold?
No, no,
We're not adjourned?
We're not. She just wanted to.
Yes, go ahead, Claire.
Iron
Yeah.
Point.
Oh, the Iron Point, that's right.
Yeah.
We have a walk-on.
Let me get you an address.
Don't understand.
This is a town board referral, Iron Point.
Yeah.
But you want to discuss point by point by point, but
It's,
everything that
a-
come to a resolution of this?
Existing park, and they're gonna expand the fields on the property.
Which one is this? Sorry, Claire.
It's a
The
walk-on.
walk-on.
Iron Point.
It's Iron
Town
Point.
Point.
I got it yesterday,
Okay.
of course,
board.
at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Plenty of time.
Action you're looking for?
This is in Flanders?
Yeah, so this
Flanders,
Iron
yeah.
Point Park is back here, it's the point, this
Yeah.
town owns it, and there is a baseball field, and they want to increase the baseball field to accommodate a soccer field. It already has lighting, they're gonna also upgrade the lighting, and it's all in conformance to the lighting code, so that's.
How's, you looked at the lighting, it's,
Yes, and I have looked at the lighting, they provided it, there, I have plans too.
this is what those big league spotlights.
Unfortunately. No, it's not spotlights, they have to be full cutoff.
Oh, they're full color,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
For a soccer field? Wow.
for a soccer field.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's a lot of lighting if you put full cutoff.
It's
lighting.
already, there's already lighting already for the baseball field.
That's cut off too?
Look over your shoulder.
Cut off mean?
Means that
Shielding.
shielded up.
Oh, I see, got it.
So we're certainly, what the referral, our support.
It would be a site plan approval for the expansion of the field and the upgraded lighting.
Well, this is referral, right?
Nope, it's a site plan.
Site plan approval, gotcha, okay.
Flanders.
And it's the town's park.
It's
town
the
park.
town's
Not a state
park.
Recreation.
Sounds
We
park.
love it.
Have you been to this to look at this lighting? Because in my mind, I can't comprehend a soccer field or even a baseball field of that size having or full cutoff. When you say cutoff lighting, you mean like downward lighting?
That's what they should.
Because it just seems, I've been to stadiums, that sports stadium where you have lights that really, provide adequate lighting. They really,
Well, if they're
almost
tall
vertical.
enough poles, I would think,
Is it attached?
I'm
Why,
looking.
am I mixing this up with what I looked at in the code?
And the soccer field is in the middle of the outfield of the
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, there's,
Yeah.
Within the
baseball
baseball
field.
field.
Right, so it's
So-
either baseball or soccer.
Right, so how's the lighting reaching the middle of the soccer field, I guess?
yeah, because they have, same thing, the baseball field here, they have lighting pylons here.
Okay.
But that, if you have cut-off lighting, there's no way you're getting lighting out here.
Right.
So, you know,
And then expanding the baseball field.
which I'm okay with. I mean, it's a spot, it's a soccer
There's no
field in the
residential
middle of
really
nowhere, right?
around
You gotta
there,
do it,
yeah.
but I just
Don't
want
want dark skies.
I don't want it just to be,
Expanding the baseball field.
No,
I thought it
you're
was
right,
within
you're
the
right. There
existing
are-
baseball field. This is
There's
all
the,
new baseball
the four
field.
big ones that are not, right? And then there's the two smaller ones that are.
I say 2-4 for the the baseball field right now, and the soccer has 2 additional, which again, given the distance that they're far apart, would probably end up being the same as what they have. Which, again, it's what you need for a baseball and soccer stadium. I'm not, you really can't have that for that size of thing. You'd be running into pools while you play soccer and baseball.
Sure. Right.
So just, so we kind of, at least on the
It's not full
record.
cutoff, it's
Compliant.
baseball fields, lights.
Are there any-
Sports stadium
lights.
lighting, yeah.
Are there any
which is
conditions
permitted.
with our site plan? We're just, it's just blank
Site
approval.
plan approval,
And
all the plans are
now
submitted.
the clearing and so on they're doing for this baseball, I mean, what's there right
There's
now?
gonna be a SWIP. There's a
What?
SWIP, it's 2-acre clearing associated with the project. And there's a SWIP that's been issued by the town engineer.
Big resolution, a site plan approval. Do we have a motion? Motion by Kate, second by David. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. We're going to jump back to 94.
Okay. The FEIS was submitted on May 22nd, so that's close to 3 months ago. About a month ago, we were asked for additional copies for each one of the board members. Board members have had plenty of time to look at it. I'm not willing to extend the deadline at all. I am willing to, if you deem it sufficient for public comment, today give a 30-day period. But seeker has very, very, very strict guidelines, and the whole reason that seeker has guidelines, and this is what the legislative history says, is it's an elaborate process. We're not going to let the applicant, it's not fair to the applicant, get mired in this process. How many extensions, and bless in getting to the DEIS, that's a rhetorical question. Numerous extensions. So we're here, we're more than happy to give more than 30 days for the public to comment. I thought Anthony's suggestion coming back on the 27th so that you could add your additional comments, if any, but we're not willing to do anything other than that.
I mean, Anthony, you've basically determined it's adequate for public review.
Yes, as you know, Claire was helping out before.
Yeah.
You know, the purpose of this was to take the comments during the public comment period and,
Right.
you know, identify them, which they did. They have matrices in there. They have a whole bunch of explanation of some project changes as a result of what came out of the public hearing. Like I said, you might not like, the answers aren't, you know, you don't like the answers.
I wasn't
You know,
judging, I just
know,
noted some
I
things
just, you know,
weren't, many things weren't addressed.
Sometimes, you know, if a comment is, you know, the road is constantly flooded during storms, well, that's a comment that they're acknowledging, but, you know, so they're gonna find some of that in there. But yes, the information, is in there for us to.
Having said that, if
I have
let
one
me finish.
specific.
I think I have the floor. Having said that, if there are any specific questions after the staff and you folks have had this to review, you said you must have taken some look at it. You're not happy with some of this stuff?
No, I didn't, I just want to be clear, I did not say I was not happy with it.
I mischaracterized you.
And my question is,
Right.
when your response is noted, what does that mean?
It means what it means. It doesn't mean we're agreeing with it.
It means what it means, is not answering my
Yes,
question.
well, let me finish. It means, doesn't necessarily mean we're agreeing with it. We understand that was been one of the comments of the public.
And you are not responding to it specifically.
Well, some of it is, I just read one, right, that they said noted. Traffic is horrendous on this road.
Noted.
Noted. I mean, that's not new information, that's a personal opinion. And then.
That's what they call in the law a generalized local complaint.
And that's why they responded.
I did have a specific question, and maybe the engineers could engage with it. During the presentation on this project, there was an argument toward, we're improving the output of nitrogen on the site, even though the existing restaurant has a traditional septic system. The argument, and I'm recalling back by memory, the argument was made about, it wasn't a calculation of flow and the increased intensity of use on the site. It was about nitrogen output, which is a, separate thing that we consider,
But no, stay here.
period, question mark, whatever. Let's engage on that.
Okay, well, first, everyone should remember the fact that the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has not only given, but extended a permit for this entire process under the tidal wetlands law. And it was hands down the tipping point that the nitrogen reduction was so significant as to be, it would have been irresponsible for them not to grant it. That's one of the reasons why I'm scratching my head as to why there's any discussion about the fact that this, from a point of view of nitrogen loading into the bay, is a far superior. You're going to get a sewage treatment plant here. And again, DEC is charged by the state law with protecting tidal wetlands, has given this project an approval.
But was that based on nitrogen
Absolutely.
reduction? Well, I'm asking a question, so it's a yes or no? And I have a specific question to that also. If we open up the thing to ask questions, I get answers.
So-
I have a specific question to add to Kate's.
So, and just to clarify, so when I'm looking at this site, it is, there's no doubt it's in a highly sensitive area, right? For all of the reasons discussed. I understand, yes, we have a nitrogen problem, and the output of nitrogen being reduced is a good thing. That doesn't change the separate consideration that the intensity of use and the view shed, being a secondary, would be increased intensity on the site
Well, I think we're focusing on the nitrogen.
I guess, but my
with the
question.
flow calculation.
Yeah, but I'm trying to formulate what I want to say here. This sounds like, but to me, that sounds like a comment and a discussion of what you would find in a finding statement. In other words, you made an argument that the mitigation is this, that, and the other thing. However, the planning board finds that that you failed to do this, or you in fact did do this. I mean, that's sort of what I'm trying to get at, is that I think a lot of what this board has concerns about or wants to talk about is more geared towards the findings of fact as of this final impact statement, as opposed to the adequacy of the document.
Right.
This is just my professional
I
opinion.
see this more as administrative acknowledging not
Not a decision
here, so,
We're not close to the decisions yet.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm, again, here we are at the table. I asked for an extension, we're not there. So I'm here to listen and discuss with the goal of becoming comfortable to make this decision today. Otherwise, I'm abstaining.
And
So-
we'll have that opportunity, I'm thinking, at a separate hearing, not 5 o'clock on hearing date, so.
Okay, then I abstain from voting on this matter, and we can discuss it in the future. I appreciate
We
you
will
coming
have
to
it
the
on.
table.
But just to restate, Anthony, you're finding the document adequate for,
Adequate for public review.
right.
And
And
so
so
that
our
can be noticed
action
on the
then,
environmental notice.
our action then is to make that finding by resolution.
Yep, that final environmental impact statement.
You're accepting the final.
Accepting it and putting it out for public
Adequate for review.
Adequate review, and are we addressing the secret extension at this time in the same resolution?
They're not granting a secret.
It's not granting, so.
But
there's-
However, we
public
have
comment
agreed to a
extension, he doesn't
30-day.
need
But he's
to
giving
approve.
the 30-day public comment.
Well, yes, thank you for pointing at that. So your action then would be to accept the final environmental impact statement, to be noticed in the environmental notice bulletin, and to provide a public,
Acknowledge the grant of adjournment for 30 days thereafter to discuss.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you can capture that language
Yes.
in our resolution. Let's act on it. Do we have a motion? Motion by George, second by
Second.
David. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? One abstention?
Did what
Okay,
that's
so
what
we
Leslie-
do have 4 yes, we have 1 abstention, we have 2 absent, the motion is carried.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, folks.
I'm gonna get
Safe home, good luck with the traffic.
this. still don't
And then I
understand.
just have
I
the
would
next
love
one,
to
Miyako.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's you, John?
It's a John Bennett Day.
All right, stay there.
We just raised
This
one thing
is
with
topping
septic.
rows, right?
That's item 14?
Happy Rose.
There's 50 different issues.
Yeah.
There's more,
I
so
think
raising
this is
thing.
pretty
There's a
Oh, this is
procedure.
lead agency.
There'll be a million.
This is lead agency. This is cake.
That wasn't done
This
already.
is lead agency. And just to note, the project has been updated to be conforming regarding to the setbacks of parking in the front yards. So
Okay.
that's been modified. And this would be to assume lead agency and to hire a traffic consultant to review it. I'm going with McLean, came in at
We
42.50.
seconded your choice. We seconded your choice.
Yes, you
Did
did.
you see that?
Yeah, you agreed to that because it was the cheaper option.
No, we also, well,
Yes.
I'll go.
So when you give me the check, it'll be about a month later that we can have him on for a review and the discussion.
I don't know.
Well, you have to give me a check.
Well,
We're hiring him now.
You got a
and then
Visa card?
I'm just saying the timing.
So are we doing two resolutions?
One resolution
One
with the two
resolution
items.
with those two items.
Resolve number one is to assume lead agency, and resolve number two is to hire McLean.
Bingo. Do we motion by Kate, second by David, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions, 5 yes. John, off you
less
go.
painful for
Get
you,
out of here. Done enough damage.
I'll just say, you have too many of these big projects on your plate, give somebody else a.
No, I don't know why that happens.
Good luck with the litigation.
And then I do have the two signatures at the end, which you're gonna handle, right?
What's
So,
that?
The two signatures at the end.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay, great.
Claire, do you have anything else on?
I think that's it.
Okay, because Teresa has seawall, that's still on. Seawall? Is that the item 17?
Dennis, I'm gonna pass along the flower. Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, Seaworld Properties,
Okay.
3-lot subdivision on Red Creek Road.
Okay.
There's tidal wetlands at the site. And this is a type 2 action, and we had deemed it incomplete in January. They submitted revised documents, and so it is deemed complete for the purposes of scheduling a public hearing for the pre-app, tentatively for September 24th.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Leslie, second by George, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. Thank you, Teresa. Seth, you're up.
Yes, indeed.
Come on up.
9:30 head
Got 930 Head Pond.
Yes. Have a resolution for you to have a look at. 930 Head of Pond. Sorry, let me get myself together. So, yeah, this is. Okay, so 930 Head Pond is in Watermill. It is a 1.103 acre parcel in the CR 80 zone, additionally in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. This site was granted a letter of determination for previous clearing prior to the adoption of the ordinance for the aquifer, protection of the aquifer in 1984. So they have a pre-existing clearing of 80%. And that was by a letter dated April 11th, 2022, from the Chief Building Inspector. This lot has since been 100% cleared. And they now required to go back to that 80%. So East End Land Planning Service has come in with what I would suggest is an adequate revegetation plan. Most of it will be following Head of Pond Road. We had about 30 trees. There's some oaks, some junipers, and some hollies that are being suggested. There is at the bottom there a buffer that's been required by the zoning board, so they need to put in some more robust trees down there at the bottom. So they do have two kind of things that they need to achieve down there. Otherwise, it looks adequate. There's a diversity of species, not a small amount of trees and shrubs and grasses being put in. I should say additionally, there's the blueberries, the bayberries, arrowwoods, and some ferns and sedges. I would like to point out, though, that on this revegetation plan, there were some existing trees pointed out that are not there. So I was going to suggest in our revegetation that they have to plant 3 more trees up in that area. I had also walked the grounds there and noticed that this has been the way that they've been traveling in and out of the site, so it's really compacted soil. And I was going to suggest, if the planning board is amenable to it, that there should be some aeration of that soil in order to make sure that there's increase the survivability of this revegetation. It's like concrete right there.
Oh, yeah.
So I put that as another suggestion as one of the conditions,
Good.
of the approval. That would be the extent of it.
All right. So based on those findings, we'll adopt the revegetation plan for 930 Header Pond Road. Do we have a motion? Motion by Leslie, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, 5 yes, 2 absent. Lily Pond.
Okay, 72 Laurel Lane. Mind, Anthony? Be great. So Lily Pond Estates, this is lot number 39. This is in the CR 200 zoning district, the APOD, and the high priority water quality, high priority area for the water quality. Additionally, the archaeological sensitive area. The subject property is allowed 60%. And it is overcleared by approximately oh, you know what? I have another resolution. Sorry, I'm reading from it and you haven't had the chance. So it is overcleared by 6,323 square feet. A revegetation plan had been adopted back in 2019, however, it was never implemented. So I had this was a new owner, so we started a new revegetation.
How did this come up? Did they,
They're in our digital file. We see that something's been done, and then they're never closed out, so they
good.
just sit in our files. Pending.
yeah.
Yeah.
The new owner,
We
did the
can't
new
have
owner
the time
come,
to follow up on all
did
of
the
them.
new owner come to you, or?
This came to us because they were proposing structures. They were going to do
Why?
a build-out.
Okay, good,
So,
good.
in fact, the revegetation came in. I did issue them a letter saying that you can proceed because I had been given quite in-depth plans to revegetate. There's always a back and forth with me and the applicant as to the best makeup of the plants and the best spots to pick. So at any rate, so they are now ready to finish up and put the plants in the ground. And so again, 6,323 square feet. Inkberries, shadbush, bayberries, mountain laurel, highbush blueberries, sweet goldenrod, and some cinnamon fern. Actually, sorry, I'm being silly. And for the grasses, little blue stem and Pennsylvania sedge were proposed, all with 175 inkberries, which was a large number. Shadbush at 78. Those are some pretty significant numbers for 6,000. So they really did put in a good effort to revegetate. So I would propose that we accept their revegetation plan and have them naturalize the area once again.
Sounds good. Kate, motion by Kate, David on the second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, 5 yes. Anthony, you're up.
161.
They sell that shirt in extra large, buy it from me.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
We could all wear one.
Thank you very much.
I love it.
Good one.
This is 161 Red Creek Road in Hampton Bays, a flag lot. Actually, it's 100% cleared. They're currently before the Environment Division pending an administrative wetlands permit that's going to relocate the driveway and the structures to meet wetland setbacks to the maximum extent possible. but the property is just 100% clear, actually. And so, at 18,000 and change, which is what, they were allowed, so let me just I like the green, it's easier just to see the area. So that's a large area that they're going to revegetate with a planting plan. I went through this with Marty and I went back and forth with them a little bit because it's all upland species, but we wanted some mix in there because it is close to wetlands. But Marty's office did just rely on us to do it. So I have a re-veg plan with all native species. It's a mix, low bush blueberry. There's ferns in there. There's new trees. There's everything. This is an expensive plan. But all native vegetation, Marty's looked at it, so I'm recommending approval of the revegetation plan to cover an area of 18,256 square feet for the property at 161 Red Creek Road.
Great. Do we have a motion? Motion by Kate, second by George. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. We have Teresa. You're back up.
I'm back up.
All right.
Yay.
Hey.
Okay.
Back to the hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right, so this project is located at 121 Stony Hill Road. They are allowed a maximum of 35% lot clearing, and they are over by approximately 2,876 square feet. Part of the parcel had been cleared prior to, had been cleared for a while because they had sought a tennis court, and they got in the tennis court, but they never built the tennis court. And now what they're asking for is to clear an additional 24 square feet to put in the tennis court and then restore the area around the proposed tennis court in order to bring it back down to 35. The plants are appropriate for the area, and I am recommending approval because it's just an additional 24 square feet, which they'll be restoring back to.
To wait all afternoon for 24 square feet.
Well, it would be a maximum 29 at the end of the, 2,900 at the end of the day.
Don't go there.
All right?
I'll motion
Okay.
that again.
Kate's on the motion.
Second.
Second, Leslie. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Nice to see you.
Gone. Seth, how about Flanders?
Yes, this is just an extension of the conditional approval for 265 Flanders, Hamlin Riverside. You might recall they had three, it was called True Art, which was, it's a metal, or at any rate, it's now a mechanic who's taken over this site. There were 3 garage doors, bay doors, overhead bay doors that needed to be removed. They need an extension of that conditional approval in order to get their maps in order. They'd like to go to building, and they don't. So there was a 90-day.
90 days?
Yeah, so we're doing, I'm sorry, not 90 days, 3 months. I needed to get them 6 months of extension.
Oh, 6-month extension?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there was 2 extensions in there.
Motion by George, Leslie, second by George. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yes, 2 absent. I'll be signing Watermill Building Supply, so acknowledged. I have signed Stella Luna, item 25, and I am in the process of signing Bridgehampton Commons. Very good. Motion to adjourn by Kate, second by George. 6